What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of I Came With Fire podcast. It's your boy Brandon and your boy Zach.
That's me.
Back again. It's been a hot minute since we have done an episode where it's just been us. My brother reached out. I guess, man. We're actually booked through February, and so that's pretty cool. Wouldn't say we're popular, that's for sure, but we have guests, and I'm really thankful for those guests.
Out of all podcasts for 2 days in a row. That's pretty popular. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because I was looking at that Spotify rap thing is what Zach is talking about, and I saw that we were the number 44 podcast on Spotify for 2 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't say what 2 days. I have a feeling what 2 days potentially, and I kind of think it was the Luke Caverns episode, because his episode with Danny Jones podcast, what used to be known as Concrete Podcast, that just dropped like right after ours did. So his name was really hot, and he's an awesome guest. It was a great show, super awesome content. The conversation was awesome.
Get him back on.
We have to get him back on. But yeah, I have a feeling that may have been those 2 days. But when I saw that, I was like, what? Out of the thousands of podcasts out there for 2 days, tens of thousands, we were at number 44 on Spotify. That's crazy, So, but anyway, and let's just take a moment and say that is 100% on all of you guys listening to us right now.
Thank you.
It's not because of me. It's not because of Zach. It's because you guys listen. You guys tell people about us. You guys listen to us more than once, because I know there are people that are like, so listen, and then I listened again. That's like, whoa, you listened to us twice in the same episode? Like, that's freaking crazy,
Yep.
And we absolutely appreciate every single one of you guys, and we could not do this without you. And maybe a lot of people say that, but it's the damn truth, because if we did this and no one watched, why would we keep up with it? And it's progressively gotten more and more and more and more, so thank you guys so much for that. I like those little Spotify wrapped. Those are pretty cool.
It was nice.
Yeah, but it is nice, man. It just feels good.
I was about to say, it made me feel good about like the stuff we're doing. Because I'm not going to lie, this is still kind of newer to us. We haven't quite hit the year. Mm-hmm. And there's times where I'm just like,
no, we haven't.
It's like, man, like we're putting so much time and effort into this. And sometimes you see videos of the views that are like just a couple hundred and you're like, okay. But then you get some that are like tens of thousands. And honestly, that Spotify Wrapped, it like rejuvenated me. I was like, yeah, let's jump into this a little bit more. Let's dive in further. Let's keep going. So it was nice.
Yeah, it is. This is a grind. It's not easy. I spend a lot of time putting reels together, spend a lot of time editing, all that stuff. And so it is nice. But yeah, my brother hit me up the other day and was like, hey, it's been a hot minute since you and Zach have done just an episode, you two. And speaking of like the podcast getting better, he's like, your editing skills have gotten better, and it's been a while since we've seen you guys on there. He goes, I'm listening to this popcorn podcast, and like, you guys are being really funny. He's like, you guys need to have more clips of just you two being funny. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point, actually, because we haven't had an episode where we talk to one another, just each other, in a long time. So Here it is. And unexpectedly, because somebody ghosted us, I'm going to be respectful enough to not say who it was, but ghosting is disrespectful, and I don't like it. Man up or woman up and say, can't
do it.
Not interested, whatever. Yeah. Don't ghost people, especially when we have things we're trying to do and we need to prep. Yep. So anyway.
Speaking of funny, though.
Moral of the story is, thank you guys for listening.
Speaking of funny, though, go on over to our Instagram page. Brandon uploaded a pretty funny video of me hacking in, getting our podcast ready. So you can watch a very goofy video of me doing weird stuff that has no relation to anything.
Yes.
But it's fun to watch. Share it, comment,
that's okay.
Like it. See my goofiness.
It doesn't have to have... Yeah, that's it. That's what people are here for. To see your goofiness. 100%.
That's why I'm here.
But that's why I asked you to do this.
Great. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah.
And cut.
So, right, that's it, guys. 4.5 minutes. But no, so here we are again. If this is the first time you've listened to a popcorn podcast, there are others. I believe this is number 5. But I'll just give you a quick rundown on how we do this. Zach and I don't know what we're going to ask each other prior to jumping on here, and we're just going to shotgun questions. and get honest answers. That's what we're going to do. So I have a good time doing this. I know that Zach does too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say they enjoy these episodes. So yeah, I think Zach should kick it off first, to be honest.
Let's do it. So with these first ones, we're talking before we hopped on here. They're little like icebreaker type things to kind of get it going.
Mm.
Do you like riddles, Brandon? I feel like you're a riddle type of person.
I've asked you riddles before. I
You
remember
have?
even like stumping you and a bunch of other people on post one time with one of my riddles.
Yes, yes. So I don't know if you've ever heard this one or both of these ones before. They go in tandem. But you ready for
Okay.
some riddles?
I guess let's embarrass myself publicly. Let's do this.
That's the whole point. All right.
Thanks, man.
I am the beginning of everything, the end of time, the start of evolution, and the finale of the human race. What am I?
The letter E.
That's correct. Good job, Brandon. Everyone clap for Brandon. All
Thanks,
right.
bro.
So, speaking of E's, your next riddle is
Easy.
I start with the letter E. I end with the letter E. Between me is a letter that is not E. What am I? I gotcha.
Eve?
It is not Eve.
Can you say it one more time?
I start with the letter E. I end with the letter E. Between me is a letter that is not E.
Oh, an envelope.
Yeah. Yep. Good job.
Thanks.
It's the part where it says there's a letter in me or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
Play on words. Nice.
Very well done, Brandon. Congratulations. You have won
Thanks,
this
man.
episode's trophy. It's a crisp high five when we meet, so remember that.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Cool.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say too, I thought that was kind of cool, is we've had a couple people reach out recently and ask us if we wanted to come on their podcast, which is pretty neat. Common Freaking Sense is one you guys should go check out. We're gonna have him on as well this month, and then the other one is, I'm really excited for this one. Not that I'm not excited for Common Freaking Sense, but One Nothing Podcast is that one seems really fun, because apparently we're going in totally blind, and they want to ask us to guess stuff about like true crime, which is kind of cool. So
yeah,
I'm excited for that one. I think that's gonna be pretty cool. But anywho, I guess
put our
that's
berets on and try to solve crimes.
sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be the year of hats, because in January, when we have Aaron back on again, we're wearing tricorn hats. So it's going to be the most patriotic episode ever.
It's going to be amazing.
You better love America. Seriously. It's going down.
And if you don't, you're wrong.
All right, man. That's right. If that was your question, I think I'm just going to jump into mine, man.
Perfect.
So we haven't done it anywhere near as much as like we jokingly said we were going to, but I'm just going to start it now because it is genuinely something that perplexes me. And I could see you smiling. I think you know what I'm going to say.
I have an idea.
But you do. Yeah. But truly it perplexes me, if I could say that word, because I have spent ample amount of time online trying to figure out where this person is. Now Zach knows
exactly what it is.
Yep. Let me finish, and then we can where this person is, because their social media stops at a very strange time at the end of when they stop podcasting. Okay. Yep. The entire last season of this podcast, and you know what? Ironically, you started this one off with a riddle. Their entire last season of their podcast is about riddles. It's like a massive riddle.
And there's riddles in the episodes.
There's riddles in the episodes. Right. And they're very, very subtle. Yeah. And the other thing I'm going to say too is you have to listen to the end of these episodes past the credits to hear, because they're like subliminal things going on.
There's like minutes after some of them.
It's minutes after, right? You almost have to recognize on your phone that there's like 5 minutes left in the episode, even though nothing's being said. Mm-hmm. And I actually had listened to that season all the way through a couple of times before like introducing it to you. And then
Mm-hmm.
one day I was listening to it, and I had to look down at my phone. And just what I said. There's like 5 minutes left on this episode, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I just kind of did the like jump by 30 seconds thing, and then I started
Mm-hmm.
hearing all this really weird shit, and I was like, what the fuck? And then like all I did was went to the end of all the episodes, and they were all like that. And but he has literally vanished, which is really weird because he had social media. There's Reddit forums of people asking what the hell happened, and
Mm-hmm.
there are seasons. And I know I'm being really, really vague still for you guys listening, and that's on
We're
purpose.
getting there.
But we're getting there. There are other seasons of this podcast, and they end in the same number of episodes.
Yep.
And this one ends one short.
Yep.
And this entire season is on the Illuminati. It's on all the weird confluences of strange shit in Stanley Kubrick's movies, specifically The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut. And it talks about Admiral Byrd and Operation High Jump to Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly fantastic. And there's all this shit at the end of these episodes with these weird clues, and it ends one episode short. So it almost is just like, did he fly too close to the sun and is now gone? And if so, how did he just decide, is this just like the greatest ending to a podcast ever where he ends abruptly without giving you the last episode, an episode he preps you for in the
Yeah.
actual last episode that was posted?
He super teases it.
He teases it. So is that like, is this just like a joke the whole time? Do you have to follow these clues to like a secret website where you can hear the last episode? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this is, I'm not even like playing or trying to be dramatic. Like if somebody is listening to this and you listen to Hiding Something podcast with Jesse Carey and
Yep.
you know what the fuck happened, I please just message us on Instagram and tell me, because I've looked on Reddit. His Twitter stops around the same time that that last episode came out. It's just really, really weird. And he calls out a lot of really strange stuff. And it's just, to me, it's perplexing. I keep, I said the word right this time,
Mm-hmm.
because how are you going to just abruptly end something like that and then disappear? There's not, you're not anywhere on social media. You're not, you're not on any other podcast, because I've looked for him before.
He
And
was on
the podcast
Ironclad.
came out.
Or not Ironclad.
Well, that, yeah. So
List It.
Ironclad is the
List
like,
It.
mm-hmm. Well, that was before.
Yeah. That's the one
And,
before Hiding Something.
mm-hmm. Right. But I'm saying he wasn't on any afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And so, right. So, and then Ironclad podcast was like this conglomerate of podcasts that like kind of all came out together. Um, it was just like a group, I suppose. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I really want to know what happened to him. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about, this isn't really a question for Zach, it's a question for everybody. What happened to Jesse Carey? Because let's like, were you just pulling up what he was talking about, or the episodes? Were you just pulling it up on the computer?
I was just trying to find Jesse, like a picture of Jesse Carey or something, because even that's like
Mm,
impossible to find. There's like
right.
no
Like
photos
the
of
last thing,
him.
mhm.
There's,
The last thing he said on Twitter was something about the Washington Nationals baseball team. Just
yeah.
super random, Which, I mean, even if you want to be that guy and zoom in on everything somebody does, like the Washington Nationals play in Washington, D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is where those people he's saying are essentially some weird satanic cult of the Illuminati, and there's all this other shit that's going on, are located, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so, but no, but why don't you pull up the podcast, and let's talk a little bit about the seasons, because they're all really, really strange stuff that he's talking about.
Yeah. So
Like the
just
first, I think. Mhm.
before we
Go
get too
ahead.
far into it, so like he still has a LinkedIn profile. It's like, but it's also not active, and it just says that
Mm-hmm.
he's still director of original content for Ironclad, and it just says from April
Yep.
2020 to present. And that's it. There's no picture. There's no
Right.
nothing else. There's no like contact.
Right.
It's just real weird.
Yeah. Everything on him on social media, I can't find him.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull up the episodes.
Yep. I got him here. So let's see here. Just let me share my little screen. So this
Boom.
is Hiding Something by Ironclad. Starts in October of 2020.
Mhm. That's interesting too. I've always thought about this is that the podcast is still up.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
why, like, let me be real. Let me just upfront say, right? I don't necessarily think Jesse Carey is dead, right? Um, I don't think that, like, in my heart of hearts, but like, I wonder, right?
Yeah, but like,
But the thing is like, if you're gonna take this guy out, like, why leave the podcast up? You know?
yeah.
I don't know.
But like, look at this. So at the bottom of the like summary for this, there's like GPS coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's that go? Like, we'll look this up. Here, we'll look this up.
I actually
in a
haven't even
minute.
seen that before.
I just noticed
Dude,
this too.
yes.
Actually, so we're gonna look this thing up. I don't know what this is, but we're gonna look it up. But
What was the name of that underground city he talks about where I think it's like Fox Farm or some shit like that?
I'm wondering maybe if it's in
Do you
one of
remember what I'm talking
these.
about?
Yeah, he does
You
talk
have to like
about. I'm trying to see if
yeah,
maybe
because
one of
like
his.
look at some of these he talks about. He's talking about like Bohemian Grove. Talks
Yep.
about um that's it. That's the season.
Yeah,
Leviathan is
that's
the
season
last
3 of
one.
Leviathan.
Cremation
Yeah.
of Care, the Georgia Guidestones.
Yep.
All of these things, they're all like apocalyptic. They're all about the end of the world. That's it right there. What did Admiral Byrd actually find is
Yep.
the episode, the last one that got posted.
And it has another
But
GPS coordinate on it too, or not
right.
GPS. Those are longitude latitude. I guess that's GPS coordinate.
Mhm.
I'm gonna look what this up is.
It probably I wonder if it's the location of that like pyramid object in Antarctica. You gotta look both of them up now.
Yeah.
Copy and paste those things and let's
Yep.
do it.
That's what we're gonna do.
This is
Let's
definitely
see
a watch this episode.
Yeah. So those GPS coordinates go to Bohemian Grove. The ones in the
Okay.
summary. Those go to Bohemian
Got you.
Grove.
Got
Now
you.
let's see, where do these other ones go in his last episode?
I feel like it's got to be Antarctica given the topic of the episode.
Could be, yeah. It is the pyramids in quotes in Antarctica. Yeah, so you're spot on.
Okay. So really, nowhere you can even go if you wanted to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You technically can't. I mean, you could sneak into Bohemian Grove. I don't know if I would want to try. I mean, I can't say that. I would want to try, but I don't know how easy it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex Jones did it and got that crazy ass video of the cremation of care.
Yeah.
And that's something too that he even talks about on the podcast is Alex Jones's video. But there is, I'm trying to remember his name. There's a gentleman who was also on the Joe Rogan podcast who was with Alex Jones when they went there. And he since distances himself from Alex Jones. But in the episode that he's on with Joe Rogan, he talks about, the craziest thing that went on there. And there were a lot of crazy things. To him, the thing that truly frightened him was how excited and how separated from reality all of these people were when these rituals began, where they essentially were mock human sacrificing objects and these druidic rituals with the giant owl statue. And if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen this video, go on YouTube, type in cremation of care. But he said that these people were enjoying it and lost essentially in the ecstasy of watching this happen. And I'll just tell everybody listening, the definition of the cremation of care is essentially burning or getting rid of, eradicating the soul of the cares that you have about humanity so that you can make the most objective decisions possible about the quote unquote good of humanity. And you throwing off all the cares that you have about it so that you have a clean conscience when you make these decisions, you have a clean conscience when you govern, and it's as nefarious as it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not already an Orwellian statement. The good of mankind. I think that's one of the most like naive and narcissistic things anybody can say, because you don't know what's good for everybody. But it's it's a pretty wild thing. But I genuinely want to know what the fuck happened to this dude, because he's nowhere.
Yeah. So I did a little bit more digging. And I should have like dug in this a little bit more. I've always like wondered where it was and stuff. So we're gonna go here. So I went to the
Yeah.
Ironclad YouTube website.
Okay.
This is Jesse Carey right here. That's him.
Yeah.
And there he is and a couple other stuff. But if you look, he's just
Mm-hmm.
in like these things for like
Mm-hmm.
listed. This is the
Yeah.
podcast before hiding something. But he's not
Right.
really anywhere else. Kind of down here a little bit, but he's not like too prominent. This is the
Mm-hmm.
last video of Jesse Carey, and it's from 3 years ago. There is nothing with Jesse Carey on the rest of this channel. It's like
Yeah.
Ironclad doesn't know Jesse Carey even still exists, even though his LinkedIn says he still works for him as like a director of like content or whatever.
Yeah, but he hasn't been
So
on it since 2020, which is prior to this shit anyway.
yeah, so I'm wondering if people listening, if you kind of want to maybe like let's spark some stuff, maybe get things moving, go to the Ironclad YouTube page, go to like Ironclad's like Twitter or social medias, and just start collectively commenting, where is Jesse Carey?
Yeah, that's a
Just
good
do that.
idea.
Like go on, like this video was posted 3 days ago. If we get like a few of our listeners and us including stuff, and just go on here, click on, and just type in where's Jesse Carey. Maybe Ironclad will be like, oh wait a minute, oh yeah, we did a thing with that guy, or oh yeah, we had a season that ended before episodes came out.
Yeah, it's weird too, because we just had the podcast up on like iTunes or Apple
That
Music,
was on
whatever,
Spotify. Yeah, Spotify.
Spotify.
Yep,
Does it still say it's part of the Ironclad network?
it does. Yep, still says it's part of
Even
the
in
Ironclad network.
even yeah, because they say even in all the episodes, you said part of the Ironclad network of
Yep.
podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird, dude. It is weird. Like, I'll say this, okay? That's pretty brilliant to end a podcast that way, right?
Yeah, if it's
To
intentional.
end it without giving you right, if to not give you the last episode, to leave you hanging like that in
Mm-hmm.
such a way to make you wonder what happened to him, which is the entire premise of that season, is weird shit happens to people who
Yeah.
get too close to some of this crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Because
there's
the two
implied
seasons
death.
before
Mm-hmm.
don't have any like clues or secrets. At least none that we could like I guess see easily. But season 3 has
Yeah,
prominent clues. Like this is a clue. Like you can definitely tell it's
right,
weird, but only if you pay attention. People normally listening, they would just go to the next episode and wouldn't know. You have to like
right.
listen to after, or you have to start thinking. You have to like. There's a couple episodes and I can't remember exactly which ones because it's been a couple months since
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to it. But
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
like something in episode 3 will reference a weird thing in episode 1, and it's
Yes, you have
like
to listen
you
sequentially.
yeah, you have to pay attention. There's stuff in there. So if anyone's listening, specifically with them, listen to Hiding Something because it is
Yeah.
really, really weird. Go all the way through
No, it
season 1 to
is, man.
season 3. It's good. And
I
they're
think
not long. They're
it.
like 38 minutes each. So
Yeah, no, they are really good. And one of the cool things about that podcast is there are tones playing throughout the episode that really, really heighten your suspense and the way you feel.
mm-hmm.
And so my wife doesn't really like listening to podcasts. She prefers to like read. I like to read too, but I like listening as well.
Yeah.
And so I got her listening to it in the car because I'm like, I think you'll really, really like this. And my wife is super spiritual, not necessarily like religious, but spiritual. And she said something to me that was a little profound that I hadn't actually thought of one time. And we're listening, and she's like, oh, I can't do this. I really can't listen to this. She goes, you hear what he's doing? You hear what he's doing in the background? She's like, he's playing the same tones. She's like, he's playing
He
like
does.
there's a small bell that gets hit at the same
Yeah.
time. And she goes, these are things that people who are spiritualists do to draw on these energies and draw them out of you. And she's like, it's no coincidence. She's like, you can't convince me. It's not a coincidence that he's not doing this on purpose to draw this energy out of you and create this like thing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
Makes you more
it's
invested.
intentional. It makes you more invested. It pulls you in. You forget you're listening, and you are, but you're actually like really, really listening. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, the spots where he wants you to feel the suspense, you feel it so well. And the thing that she said to me about the bell, I was like, that's wild, because I've learned that too, that bells are very much a thing, and a lot of the communication people do with spirits. And there's a heavy emphasis on ringing, and there's a heavy emphasis on certain tones,
Mm-hmm.
certain hertz levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, that's kind of wild. So everything wrapped up in these episodes is, and that music and the bell and all that stuff is in all the other seasons too. I just want,
Yep.
if people haven't listened to know that. But it's very, very intentional. And so I say that and bring up intention because either he intentionally, right, with all the given the thought and intention that are in these episodes, left us hanging, or got interrupted and something happened, right?
But here's my issue with
Which is
the
really weird.
intentional. My issue with the intentional,
Mm-hmm.
like it's all on purpose, is
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Carey is a person who existed online and in real life for years, for like
Mm-hmm.
most, his whole life almost, until that
Right.
episode came out. That
Till that
episode
episode came
comes
out.
out and he disappears from everything. Like
Right.
there's nothing. There's no like family members tagging him in a Thanksgiving thing. He's not referenced in anything else. There's no pictures
Dude,
of him. But after that, he literally disappeared. Now, so if it was intentional, whoever this person is also having to be very committed to not existing at
disappearing,
all.
falling off the
Yeah,
map.
yeah,
What's
that's
weird
where
too is
it's
I
weird.
noticed it is weird that you bring that. I'm glad you bring that up, because it kind of took my brain to this other spot, is that when you go on like his Twitter, it was still there a couple months ago. There's
Still
no
there now.
one that's commented and is like, "Where are you, dude? What's going on?" Or like, "We listened to this episode," and I want to say there's a couple of comments across the entire breadth of his social media where it's like mentioning the podcast or "Where the fuck are you?" kind of thing, which is also really weird.
There's a
Like I
couple things
don't.
on Reddit for the hiding
There's
something.
only
Yeah, and
right
it's like a
subreddit.
little bit
Yeah.
of Reddit threads, and it's just people going, "That was a
Mm-hmm.
weird thing. Did anyone else hear this? Oh yeah, I did. What do you think it means? Well, where's the episode?" And then
Exactly.
nothing. When the
Yeah.
Georgia
And there's a
Guidestones
couple
got blown
people.
up, people were like, "Oh, maybe the
Mm-hmm.
episode's coming out," and then nothing happened. So then it just fizzled
Right.
out.
Right. Yeah, and that's really weird given Reddit and its content and the way people post on there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the exact sort of episode podcast that you would expect people to build a community out of on Reddit. And so I find it really strange that there's a lack of, not of his social media presence, but of social media trying to find him or referencing just his drop off of the face of the earth. You know what I mean?
Well, you want to know something
But
else that's weird? So
hmm,
hiding something has like hundreds of thousands of like listens. Like it's a lot. But it only has 23 reviews. That's it.
hmm. What
But if you
is that episode, is that season Leviathan, is it on YouTube?
I'm not sure. I don't know if any of these are on
I was
YouTube.
gonna say, I wonder if it is, if you could
But
pull it up and
yeah,
look at
I'll,
the
I'll pull it up in a
comments.
sec. But before we get to that, something I want to explain is that
Mm-hmm.
so hiding something listened by hundreds of thousands, ran by a very high end production company, Ironclad.
Mm-hmm.
Ironclad's YouTube channel,
Yeah.
which no, hiding something's not on Ironclad's YouTube channel at all. Listed is, but not hiding something.
So not hiding something is on
Nothing of
YouTube at
hiding
all.
something is on their
That's
YouTube.
fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But what I'm getting at is our podcast on Spotify has 164 reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we just talked about how we were the 44th for 2 days in a row, but
Yeah.
if you want to compare apples to apples, our podcast is nowhere to the reach, production quality, or
Mm-mm.
listening
Not at all, dude.
hours or
Nope.
whatever for hiding something, and they only have
Yeah.
23 reviews.
It's really weird, man. That's what I'm saying.
That's
Something
weird.
about this is just off. It's just off. which is why it's like that's so weird to me. I keep saying this. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's so
Mm-hmm.
weird to me that he did these seasons, 3 seasons, all this awesome fucking content, and just disappears. That's just weird, man. It's just it doesn't something
Yeah.
about it doesn't sit right with me. And the fact I think what it is that throws me off about this whole thing is that it genuinely seems to be 5 fucking people interested in where the hell he went, you
Yeah.
know? No
You,
one like
me,
decided
a
to run
couple
it
other
down
people. Yeah.
on Reddit, right?
Yeah.
Like where is he, you know? And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that's really weird because normally when something like that happens, there's this, whole like, oh
Yeah.
shit, that sucks. Where'd it go? That's
Yeah.
really weird
Reddit
given the
Reddit
content.
found that like serial killer dude because he was like killing cats on Reddit or whatever. There's a whole Netflix documentary about
Right.
this dude.
There
Like
is, yeah. Don't
thousands of
fuck with
people came
cats.
together, yeah, to find this
Mm-hmm.
guy who killed someone in
Yeah.
Canada because of
Mm-hmm.
cat posts. And you're telling me no one's like you just said everyone just dropped everything for looking for Jesse Carey or the
Mm-hmm.
episode or looked into it.
Yeah.
All of Reddit
No,
used the stars and jet patterns to find Shia LaBeouf's flag to tear it down. And you're telling me they
right.
haven't just like analyzed hiding something's episodes to figure out what the clues mean? It is very
Just for the
strange.
popularity of the podcast and given the following it seems to have, the
Mm-hmm.
minimal footprint that exists online about it, and then the followership footprint is super low, that seems really strange to me.
Yeah.
Those things don't jive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's more interaction for our podcast online than there is that one. And like you said, the production quality is way higher than ours,
Mm-hmm.
like just being real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I want to talk a little bit about like some of the stuff he says in these episodes, but like he references to a lot of things where people disappear when they're too close to some of the shit going on, right? So like he
Mm-hmm.
talks about like Admiral Byrd and why he was sent to Antarctica, essentially right after World War II. When he went, it was supposedly there for just exploration, but he essentially went with an entire fleet looking like he was ready to go to war right
Mm-hmm.
after World War II. And they actually had people die on this expedition, but there's not a lot of info about it. And some of the stuff that's come out, there's like a journal, which they have proven to be fake, but there's a lot of stuff that has come out, essentially, even about Admiral Byrd himself, that alludes to there's some sort of technology or existence in Antarctica that is greater than ours. And that's why the Nazis were so focused on it during World War II and trying to build. And this is a fact. There was discussion within Nazi leadership about building a base in Antarctica as like this impenetrable fortress where you couldn't get into it. And it also would be a place where you could go if you started losing the war, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's another part of the speculation about why Admiral Byrd got sent there in the first place, and maybe to go and like take care of the last of the Nazis, and the Americans didn't really want everybody to know that was going on. But it wouldn't be unusual for the Nazis to know something was going on there and want to harness it, because there are other incidents of this in within World War II and Nazi scientists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other like supernatural things that the Nazis were in. Like there's 2 examples I could think of like right off the jump. Well, actually 3. So like the Nazi bell, which has to do with they think maybe time travel. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have an interest in it, I don't want to talk too much on it, but the Astonishing Legends podcast has an amazing series on the Nazi bell. Um, but the 2 other things that I know I could talk about that come to mind are Huska Castle. And Huska Castle is a castle that is built to keep something in rather than fend off things attacking it, which is the entire point of a castle.
Castle. Yeah.
And I actually have a reel way down on Instagram if you want to go, when we were talking the first time we had a spooky episode. I talk about Huska Castle. But essentially there's a pit that this castle is built around. And all the fortifications, all the ramparts, they all focus in on this pit to keep something, whatever is inside of it, from coming out. And they're all can train onto it and try and kill it. And there's some folklore around it, and potentially true stories of the people that live around Huska Castle reaching out essentially to prisons and finding people who are there for life and giving them an option, saying, you can either stay here in prison for life, or we can lower you into the pit at Huska Castle and you could tell us what you see. Even if you see nothing, we'll
We'll let
let
you free.
you go. We'll get you out of jail. Yeah. And there's this story essentially of one of these prisoners getting lowered into the pit, and he gets far enough down where the light disappears. You can't see him. And there's this screaming and terror that's coming out of the pit. They pull him up. The guy, they said in the legend that his hair turned white and that he died of a heart attack, like died of fear. And so, but the Nazis had a presence at this castle because of the dark energy that was there. So let's take this into account real quick. This castle built around a pit to keep something in. The Nazis focused on it, and they wanted to harness the dark energy that's there. The same reason why they wanted to take and go to Antarctica, potentially to find something to help them win the war, because that was the whole point of Huska Castle and harnessing that dark energy, because Hitler and some of his leadership had a very strong interest in the occult. And then Werner von Braun, who was like the lead Nazi scientist for their rockets, the V2. He had a heavy involvement in the occult as well, or ties to people that did. He was one of the Nazi scientists that came over on Operation Paperclip, and we've talked about him before, but he actually worked with Jack Parsons. And Werner von Braun actually credits Jack Parsons as well as everybody else does as the father of modern rocketry. And Jack Parsons was rocking with L. Ron Hubbard, who is the founder of Scientology, the religion, right? And Aleister Crowley, the famous Satanist. And so they did these rituals essentially to gain knowledge so that he, specifically Jack Parsons, right, could gain this knowledge to do physics. And it's not like he wasn't intelligent already. He had this belief that he was making contact with something that was giving him knowledge. And I've heard a lot of people, when they talk about Jack Parsons, they say that, he's probably just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he do that? And I would counter that argument with, you're talking about somebody who has a high level of understanding on things like physics, rocketry, right? Mathematics, all these things go together, trigonometry. Why would he waste his time doing stuff like that if it doesn't make any sense, right? Why would he waste his time doing something like that if he wasn't getting what he was going to it for? And so to me, I think there's an element of truth there. I think that Werner von Braun, some of these other people, right, who were in actual Nazi leadership, knew there's something spiritual, supernatural going on, and we're trying to harness it essentially. And I think Jack Parsons figured it out. But going back to the whole hiding something thing, these are topics that he talks about and things that he's talking about.
Yeah.
And tying it to the US government and tying it back to, people like Admiral Byrd, whose son died mysteriously and was found as a vagrant in a warehouse. And this person was, it's just really, really strange. And, I don't want to recount the entire podcast with people, but I have always, and since you and I started doing this podcast, wanted to have a conversation about this because it's honestly pretty.
We've
pretty
teased
eerie.
it a while.
So, but anyway, we did.
Yeah. Go watch Hiding Something. There's weird stuff in there.
Go watch Hiding Something.
Try to find Jesse Carey. Comment on their stuff.
If you guys know, ask where's Jesse Carey. If you know what the fuck is going on, please message us. Or if you have insights, we want to hear them. So anyway, Zach, I'm pretty sure it's your turn, bro.
It is. That was a 38-minute question, Brandon. Our listeners are so happy. No, it's fine. It was good though. It was good. This next one is here kind of talking about like law enforcement officers, and I just want your thoughts on recognition for like good work for like a law enforcement officer. And kind of what I'm getting at is I was thinking about this for a while. So in the Air Force, we have these enlisted performance reviews that are yearly for people who don't know. And you have to like put like your accolades on there and stuff of like what you accomplished, what did you do in your work, how are you better than your peers, or how are you equal to your peers, or worse than your peers, or whatever, right? And I guess this question is more about Do you think it's weird or strange that for like security forces in the Air Force or just law enforcement in
Mm-hmm.
general, for them
Mm-hmm.
to look good at their job, everyone around them has to be horrible human beings?
Yeah, I mean that's the short answer. I've always said this, and I'm going to be really critical, right?
Yeah.
And this question kind of spurs a lot of stuff up in me because I think first and foremost that the way we do enlisted performance reports, or whatever the hell they're calling it now, since I
Yeah. It's
started getting
EPB
out,
now, Enlisted
um,
Performance Board. I don't know. I don't know what the B stands for.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's broken, right? And we're not gonna have a whole conversation about that because it's gonna bore everybody. But it's a
Yeah.
very broken system, and it favors essentially people who are favorites, which is not uncommon.
Yeah.
If you had a job before, you're familiar with that. But I do think it's really weird, essentially, that the entirety of that process is essentially making, like you said, making yourself look good and throwing dirt on other people.
Yeah.
And it creates and has created, at least in security forces and in my experience, this environment of cutting people down, two-facedness, um, you know, there's always these private conversations too, right? Where you're nice to somebody's face and then you go and you have the conversation with this senior NCO or this CGO, right? And I know what happens in those conversations. You go in there and you're
Hmm.
trying to sell yourself to somebody, which in turn isn't just talking about yourself, it's shitting on other people.
Yeah.
And and maybe this is a unique to security forces thing. Maybe it isn't a unique to security forces thing, but um I do think it's really weird. I think the system is broken. I think there should be an element of speaking to subordinates about somebody, but I also don't think there should be a lot of weight thrown onto that as much as some other people think, because a lot of people, especially nowadays, I think, um, know that if they have the ear of somebody, they will use it to try and ruin someone, right?
Hmm.
And so taking what other people, subordinates specifically, have to say about somebody is really important. It should be taken seriously, but also with a grain of salt at the same time. Um, but you know, if you've been in the Air Force or in the military in general, I guess, at least I know from some of the people talking to them at other branches about this, is that the Air Force's rating system essentially is based more on you not doing your job than it is about you actually doing your job.
Yeah.
And I've never, I've always heard people say, "Oh, you're not going to get marked down for just doing your job," which is bullshit, because you will.
You won't be
And
marked down.
and
You'll be equal, but being the bare minimum equal is bad. That's the catch
right.
22. You're not marked
Well, yeah,
down.
you're not.
You're average, but average doesn't get you promoted.
Well,
So
you reach a certain point, and when you're just doing your job, you can get marked down, and I've seen it because you're not,
mhm.
leading in a certain way or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, I'll say this too: once you reach a certain spot, like you are supposed to be leading, and we'd have a whole conversation about that too, especially when it comes to NCOs and senior NCOs. But you know, I just have seen so many people work their ass off actually at work, right? Manage the programs they're actually supposed to manage the airmen they're supposed to manage, care about the airmen, care about the job, do the work, actually take care of the shit that needs to get done. And they'll get the fucking shaft because
Hmm.
somebody organized 3 or 4 fucking bake sales. And I'm not even joking. It's
Yeah,
bake
that's the thing.
sales. Or
Yeah.
they're oh, there's breakfast burritos or whatever the fuck. And that
Look how
just
much money I
becomes
got the
like,
booster club. It's like whatever.
exactly, dude.
How
And
does it
I hate
defend the
seeing
base?
everybody, and I feel like every squadron probably has this person, and I'm going to describe them right now. It's the person who is in all of these clubs, and it's the person who organizes all this shit. And what eventually happens is everybody thinks they're amazing. They get pulled off a flight, which is actually like pull and post, right? And being a
Hmm.
cop or security. and they wind up with some fucking back office job where they don't actually have to work and gives them all the time to organize all this side shit, and that'll be the person they promote.
Yeah. Gets
And
more
it
eyes on with
just
leadership, senior
mhm,
NCOs.
and ass
Yeah.
kissing and oh
hmm
wow, that's awesome. I love the fact that, you organize this bake sale. But anyway.
Yeah. I was kind of getting at though with that question too is like, so I was thinking this more now being like the first sergeant. So we were
Mm-hmm.
finishing up our like my EPR, my enlisted review, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
um, when I was in recruiting, it was all about production. So it didn't matter what anyone
Mm-hmm.
else was doing. There's not anything bad from someone else for you to look good as a recruiter. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
all you doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now as the shirt, like yeah, I could like run events, I could do like leadership seminars, I could do those type of stuff, right? But like one of my bullets, like one of my points on there is going to be like dealt with someone who was arrested. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's weird to
Mm-hmm.
me that I look like a better shirt or a better cop when other people are like I'm at my highest when other people have to be at their lowest. And that's like I guess what's kind of weird I'm
Oh,
getting at
okay. I
is
get I
like
get your question a little bit better now, I
yeah,
think.
because like when so if a it goes into community policing a little bit like for cops. If a
Mm-hmm.
squadron or a police agency has very good community policing, that should mean there should be like way less crime. But if there's way less crime, then cops don't have
Mm-hmm.
things to respond to,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, in a way, prove to their higher ups that they are needed or that they're doing their job. So, like an
Mm-hmm.
example, when I was at Fairchild Air Force Base, the wing commander decided he's like, we haven't had like any alcohol incidences or like DUIs in like a very long time. That's
Oh
weird.
no.
I know they're out there, so the cops must not be doing their job. So he
Right.
came down hard on the MSG commander, who then came down hard on our commander. We need you to do more alcohol wand checks, more
Mm-hmm.
random stops at the gate, blah, blah. And then lo and behold, look at that. If you start looking for something, you're going to find it, regardless if it's there or not.
Right.
And so we started finding way more alcohol related incidences, and it started spiking. And then the wing commander, who's in charge of Fairchild, now looks like a bad commander because he just spiked alcohol incidences under his command.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's like, no,
Right.
stop doing that. So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well,
It
isn't that
had,
just the life of a fucking cop in general, bro? Like
yeah.
that has been one of the biggest frustrations of my career and everybody's career in security forces is
Yeah.
like, if you're not doing your job or nothing happens during your shift, right? That's what I mean. Not doing your job and nothing happens where you have to do your job, right?
Yeah.
Then okay, cool. To us, that's great. That's the
Yeah.
day you want to have. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe some days you want some shit to happen so the shift
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
by quick because they're 12 plus hours. You don't
hmm
want something fucking serious,
Yeah.
but anyway. And that's something I've always said before too, is that it's completely and totally the luck of the draw for the most part. And I say it like that too, right? Luck of the draw for the most part for EPR bullets, because if nothing ever happens when you're on shift, you don't have shit. But somebody who just randomly always has a domestic or always has a DUI, or and there's work you can do, right, to like
Yeah.
boost yourself up,
hmm
but that work no one really cares about. Once you like, unless you're like an airman writing a speeding ticket, no one gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
if you're a tech sergeant writing that you wrote 85 speeding tickets this year, they're
They're
gonna be
gonna
like,
go, good
wipe their
job. You
ass with
did.
it, throw it up a
Yeah, you did
tree.
your job. You did the bare minimum.
You did your
Thanks.
job, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, exactly. And but no, what's even crazier too, bro, is um when I was a flight chief in Germany, one of the things we had to do, and we took the blotter incredibly serious, a lot more serious than the unit I was just in here at Travis,
hmm
which is pathetic. But we would sit with the midshift who had to send the blotter out to wing leadership, okay? And we would go over it for a long time, looking up typos, like fixing stuff, maybe making things in the readability and the understanding a lot
hmm
better for, and there's the exec blotter you got to send out too, which is a lot different than the actual LE blotter, right? And I know we're
Yeah.
like talking shop, but we would sit there and write this shit out. And one time we got a response essentially from somebody at wing leadership. They wrote and they like asked a question about something serious that had happened. And the person had basically wanted to know if our unit was going to put this person up for an award, and it was like worthy of that, right? And so we said yes and started doing it, and like the unit was doing it, but somebody along that like chain, okay, was like, that's not worthy of anything. They were just doing their job.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Net.
fuck you, dude. Like,
Yeah.
everything is everybody doing their job.
Yeah.
Finance finds a way to save money. Oh, they're doing their job. But here they are, winning
Yeah.
awards for whatever. Like that, I hate that mentality, dude. Like, just because I'm doing my job, yes, I signed up for this, but I didn't, it's different when you're going to somebody's death or you save somebody's life. Like, yes, that's my job, but that is an extraneous circumstance
So
at my job.
that relates to something that like
Mm-hmm.
irks me still to this day. I guess it's
Mm-hmm.
several things that goes into one thing that just makes me kind of irritated with security
Mm-hmm.
forces in the sense is that yes, you're a first responder. You're supposed to respond to very serious things, save lives, protect the peace, all this type of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have given CPR to babies, save their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I've given
Right.
CPR to grown adults, save their lives. I've talked people down from suicidal stuff, save their lives. I've done countless times as a cop, and never once did I ever get like an achievement medal or anything more than a good job, Smith. As a
Mm-hmm.
recruiter, I was at the post office, and the dude in front of me had a seizure. I caught him, and I just held him there in like the like rescue position until paramedics arrived, and I got an achievement medal for that
Mm-hmm.
because to a recruiter or like a non-security forces unit, that's above and beyond. That's wild. But I remember
Mm-hmm.
when I got the medal, I was like, I appreciate the medal. Don't get me wrong. Thank you for the medal. I appreciate it. It was great. I get another ribbon, that type of stuff. I hang it on my wall. I'm proud of the medal. But it also makes me think of all the times where I feel like I've done way more than that, and there was
Mm-hmm.
zero recognition. It's just
Yeah, it's
like, good job,
funny.
Smith. You did your job.
I honestly hate talking about like my accomplishments in general, but I'll tell you a story, right? When I was in Montana, I was driving back from picking up food, and if you've ever been stationed in Great Falls, you know that the Missouri River. There's a road that runs all the way around the Missouri River, and I was coming up to the end of that road, and there's a traffic light there, and I noticed in my rearview mirror that somebody stopped behind me at the traffic light, and when I went to go, when the traffic light turned green, I noticed that that person didn't move from their spot. And I remember thinking that's kind of weird, but maybe they were
Mm-hmm.
looking at their phone. And so when I look back in my rearview mirror again, I noticed that it took off with a jolt and cut across the highway, went up over the curb and crashed into a tree. So I was like, what the fuck? And flipped a bitch and
Yeah.
went over to where the car was. And I went up to the car, and it was still revving you, mind you, and it's going up this hill into a tree, like boom, boom. The car is moving, right? And I run up to it's a Jeep. I run up to this car, and I could see the guy in the driver's seat was having a seizure. And I was like, oh shit, like what the fuck, And I'm like, how am I gonna? I tried pulling on the door handle, like, and dude, the whole time the car was moving, like, I can't get into it. So I picked
Yeah.
up a rock and I smashed the back passenger window. Okay, went in through the car, pulled his foot off the fucking
Accelerator.
accelerator, and put the car, yeah, and like turned the car off. And I got the guy's phone, found his dad's number in the phone after calling 911 from mine. Okay, I called 911, and they're coming out there. Got his phone. He's still having a seizure. Called his dad, and his dad beat the fucking paramedics out to the site. Okay, and the whole time the dad was like, "Oh my god, like, that I can't believe that you thought to call me."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, like that. The first thing that came to my mind was like, oh shit, because he was a relatively young looking dude."
Yeah.
And anyway, so they actually told the base about that, what happened,
Yeah.
and the leadership I had at the time, and whatever, it is what it is. I'm not like salty, but I just think it's
Yeah.
funny because, like you said, right, you were just doing your job.
Yeah. Good job,
I was
defender.
off. I was off, right? I wasn't at work.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't responding. I smashed the back window of somebody's car when it was moving to
Yeah.
stop them, right? And you're
Which
just doing
was
your
your
job.
whole
It is kind of funny.
incident,
Anyway.
like being a shirt now and like writing medals and stuff like that, or just being like
Mm-hmm.
NCO for a couple years and stuff. You should have got an airman's medal, not an achievement, not a com. Like that's a textbook airman's medal.
Oh well.
That's what that should have been. But
Yeah.
good job, Defender.
Yeah. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was fucking forever ago. But like, it's just one of those things. The Air Force in general, right? And you just kind of like had this conversation, is really, really bad at recognizing people. We've talked about this before. We talked about it with Dan Schilling. We had him on. But the Air Force is notorious for not recognizing people.
They are.
But they're also notorious, if you've ever served in the Air Force and you're listening, the Air Force is notorious for recognizing people who don't fucking deserve it. And I'm just going to say that because it's a fact.
Yeah. They're on both sides of this. They'll over-recognize like the littlest things, and then something actual legit happens, and like,
Right. And, dude, it's something I heard literally yesterday and today from people that are still. One of them was active duty, and one of them is a veteran, so they're out of active duty completely now. And I was kind of having this conversation with both of them. It was weird that it came up at the same time, and all I was saying was kind of how disappointed I was in some of the things that I experienced in my last unit. And they're like, man, why do you talk so negatively about these things? And I'm like, because they deserve to be talked about, because there are people in these squadrons who feel this way and get treated certain ways. And these people in these leadership positions get away with shit all the time. And no one talks about it because it's taboo and you're not supposed to talk about the negative stuff. And, there's plenty of good things, and I could talk about that too. And there's plenty of amazing people. I have met way more amazing people in the military than I have met shitty people. I'll say that, right?
Yeah.
That's a fact. But I'm also not going to not voice when things are being done wrong. That's just
if you don't advocate for the change, then it won't ever come. Regardless of how good something can be, you can find improvement.
Facts, and this is a conversation that we have all the time in private, but you don't ever say it in public. That's not me, dude. Like I've always been that person to just say it. It just annoys me, dude. There's no gatekeeping on bullshit. It's just bullshit.
Yep.
But yeah,
I do think
it's weird.
You're up next, Brandon.
It's an awkward transition, but yeah, no. So one of the things me, dude, I'm fucking weird.
What?
One of the things I found, surprise.
No idea.
I was reading online the other day, just killing time on my phone, and I started down this rabbit hole because disclosure is a pretty big topic in the news. UFOs, aliens, UAPs, whatever you want to call them. And I saw this person talking essentially about how the reason why the U.S. government holds back on what it knows is because they know that aliens, ET, aren't actually aliens or ET, that they are actually angels and demons, and that they don't want you to know about them, and that essentially all the religious experiences people have are the same as the experiences that people have that they think are extraterrestrial. And so essentially that they're protecting us from these things because they know what they actually are. What do you think about that?
So aliens and extraterrestrials, to me in general, over the last couple months, just with talking with other people about it on our podcast and just more conversation with you and stuff, and just the things that come to light, I don't think they're from a different planet. So I'm going to give you a weird theory. I think that they are from a different time, either the future or the past, but they're still humans. That's my theory. So I personally don't think they're like angels or demons or anything like that. Maybe they could be. Maybe if you go far enough in the future, they get powers like an angel or a demon, or that's just how we reference them in biblical terms, or like how we reference them in the past. But I think that aliens are just evolutionary steps of humans from the super far future or the super far past. More likely the
So,
future.
so you think that every species of extraterrestrial originated here,
Yeah,
and they're just
it's a it's an evolution of humanity from a further time.
hmm.
Like
Uh,
I feel like the Greys, right? They're small. They have
uh-huh,
real big black eyes. They're kind of pale and frail. I'm assuming
uh-huh,
that they are a super far advanced future version of humans who maybe evolved to not need a lot of light and
yeah.
probably are at a point to where like they're not walking a lot, they're not like doing a lot of physical labor because their technology is so advanced, so they just over time evolved to be these really small kind of frail beings that have big black
Hmm.
eyes. I think it's just
I mean,
evolution.
that's. Mhm. I mean, I could kind of see that evolution piece you're talking about, but I have a couple of thoughts about what you just said, and that I don't think that they're all originated from like this planet and they're just different versions of us coming back or whatever. Because when you say they're time travelers, if you're coming from outside this galaxy, like technically you are time traveling. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
so I want to
Because when you
preface real
think about
quick.
it in a relative sense, it's time
Yeah,
travel. What?
so I want to preface real quick. I also, so me personally, humans themselves are not from this planet. I don't think
Hmm.
like you and I are natural to this planet.
That we're
We,
the aliens.
yeah, we are the aliens. So like,
Hmm.
um, and the reason why I think that is like we're like the only species that doesn't naturally like fit here. We have to alter our environment, alter the earth. We're constantly changing it. Like humans don't cohabitate like a cat does with the earth. Like we have to cut, break, mold, like change so many things on this planet to
Hmm.
live here. That to me seems weird that we don't just like naturally cohabitate with the earth or mother nature.
Yeah.
So I think it's a thing of time travel, probably from the future, but I don't think humans are like we naturally evolved on this planet. I think we are probably like a DNA byproduct of something else on the planet, like maybe like a monkey, and then whatever came to this planet. But that being said, I don't think the aliens that we see or the extraterrestrials that we see, they're not coming from like super far other galaxies, and I don't think they're coming from like the other side of even our galaxy. They're probably very local, but I think they're so advanced that like they're not in our time right now. They visit it, but they're a future us coming back to change something or alter something to fix something that they know about that's coming. That's that's where I kind of say. And when it comes to the government part of your question, where it's like, does the government know? Oh, 100%. I think the government 100% knows of all this stuff, and they're in cahoots with whatever's going on. And I think it's interesting that the last like 15, 20ish years, alien type conversations are becoming more natural. They're getting just like just like before the we went and invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, terror from like the word terror and terrorism was becoming a buzzword in the like late 80s, 90s. Hijackings all of a sudden started becoming more prominent. Then you had 9/11. It was like a build up to get the people used to this concept and this idea to then when we get to like the 2000s, 2001 and on, we're now going the global war on terror. We're fighting terrorism.
Right.
This is
So,
normal. This is what we're doing. I
all right. So
think,
stop it there real quick.
yeah,
So what you're saying, because you're getting like really far away from some
I
of the other
am.
things you said that I want to address, right?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
So unpacking, let me unpack all of what you said real quick, right? Because there's a lot of rabbit holes here. I can see the whole thing about aliens being time traveling versions of us coming in and visiting, even though I don't really see why they would be interested in doing that if they've already made it past this point, right? And these could just be tourists, right? If they are in fact
Yeah,
tourists, or if they are in fact that. I just don't really see too much point in that. I don't know. But I mean, because we've had the conversation before, like would I go back in time and witness things? It's like, yeah, I would. But at the same time, like, if you're that far in the future that you can travel either intergalactically, interstellar, or through time, then I don't know. I feel like you're
Yeah.
more preoccupied with more important things. But to your comment about like the grays, like you talked about, one of the things that I have considered when talking about or thinking about this whole thing, because I actually do spend time thinking about it, is
Yeah.
the grays don't seem to have the well, first off, they don't have the same body structure we do. They don't have a nose, not a prominent
Mm-hmm.
one like we do. Their mouth, when they're described, is either slit or it's so small, people can't
Yeah.
tell if it's there, and maybe there's not even one there. There's
Yeah.
really, really big eyes, and they have really, really big heads. And like you said, they're very, very frail body.
Mm-hmm.
So let's run it through that screen of evolution, okay? All of the problems that we face as human beings come from emotions, and those emotions create a lot of really good things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
love and family,
Yeah.
but it also creates really terrible things like war and murder and crime, okay? So if you're going to evolve and you're going to recognize biologically that in order to preserve your species, you need to eradicate the things that no longer work, which is what
Mm-hmm.
evolution is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like alligators are the perfect form because apparently they haven't evolved
Or
in millions and
sharks.
millions of
Yeah.
years. Sharks,
Yeah.
exactly. Jellyfish, they're the perfect form of whatever
But
they
they're
are,
perfect
right?
for their
Humans
environment and that
clearly are
spot.
not.
Yeah.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying, though. They don't evolve anymore, but other species do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not the perfect form. There's still something that needs to happen biologically for that. So what I'm getting at is that there are a lot of studies too on people and whether or not we feel things the same way we felt what you may describe as love or fear or attachment today as what our ancestors in the medieval times or
Yeah. Yeah.
ancient Rome or whatever, if they felt the same way. And I'll say this too, there's a precedence for this because they figured out, the scientists have figured out, anthropologists have figured out that the Greeks could not actually see the color blue the way that you and I can see the color blue.
Is that why everything was
They
blue?
called it some
Because they couldn't see it?
well, they couldn't perceive it the same way we did,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
whatever color they were making, the way it's described in like actual like writing from that time period is a deep wine is what it's written as, right?
Hmm.
So it's like the cones in your eyes and their eyes are still evolving, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's all of that, right? But the thing I'm getting at is that what if they're just if to your point, they're just people who have evolved to not have emotion, to not
Mm-hmm.
have all these other things, right? You don't need this if you're not maybe you're not threatened anymore, so you don't need to smell anything. You don't need to smell predators. You don't need to smell
Yep.
food. You figured out all this other shit about it. You don't need to communicate because your brain is so fucking big that you can communicate telepathically, which is exactly how all of these aliens communicate to people, seemingly telepathically, right?
Yep.
And you don't need to use your body anymore because there's no need for physical exertion because perhaps something has you've eradicated the need for that. And
Yeah.
I'll,
The
and I'll say
technology is so
this
advanced, you
even
don't got
more
to do
that
anything.
we exactly. And so let's take this even a step further with what you're saying, okay? When you consider the things that AI can do for us and will be able to do for us, especially when you reach that point of artificial general intelligence, AGI, right?
Mm-hmm.
There may not be a need anymore for you to do certain things physically. And I think for a while, those things will hold on because there will be value in actual labor because you can't have, certain things done by AI. I mean, at least to my knowledge right now, knowing what I know and not being there in the future when this moment happens, but certain labor will be desired from human hands, carpentry, things like that, right?
Yeah.
With the thought behind them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually you could see it getting to the point where that isn't even a thing anymore. Like obviously there's assembly lines that are run entirely by robots, which is different than AI, but obviously. But what if now this step essentially of artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence becomes this essentially this this totem for us needing and recognizing that we need to be objective, just like AI is, void of emotion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that this trajectory we're on as human beings of molding ourselves with the technology we create, okay? You are at a disadvantage if you don't have your phone now, and that's a fact, okay?
Yep.
There's a lot of disadvantages you're at without your phone. And essentially, we've said this before, you're like a cyborg with a removable computer, okay?
Yep.
But when you look at what like Elon Musk is wanting to do with like Neuralink, wanting to put that in your brain, okay? There is a desire for human beings to want to mesh with the technology that we make. And that has always been what humans have done. We just make things better. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so different than other animals, right?
Yeah.
Bees, and I'm quoting Joe Rogan here, they're amazing at making beehives, but it's the only fucking thing they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what it is you're talking about, is these grays, maybe they are us way in the future, and however they got to that point, whether it's meshing with technology or
Yeah.
meshing with the consciousness of the universe, right? And that they don't need any of that other shit anymore, and that could
Yeah.
be them. But to your other point, you're talking about getting people used to something and then basically kicking off whatever it is you intended on
Mm-hmm.
happening. So your whole point implies essentially that there was a plan the whole time for, to use your example, 9/11. If because there was 9/11 was the first time the World Trade Center was attacked. Obviously, there was
Correct.
another attack, and I'm pretty sure in '93, right?
Yep.
And
By the same
but there
group.
were other plane other plane hijackings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Prior to that, right? Yeah, the whole Iranian thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Carter. So I mean, like, I see what you're trying to say as far as like setting people up for that kind of thing. But the other half of me is like, that takes a lot of effort. And I work for the government and know how dysfunctional it is. You know what I
Yeah, so
mean?
I'm
But,
not arguing
you
that the
know,
government is planning the thing. They're taking advantage of
mm-hmm,
stuff happening to
mm,
push a narrative. That's
mm-hmm,
it. So they're not
okay, okay.
planning 9/11. They're not making hijackings happen more. They're not
So this is
doing that.
the
They're
whole never
seeing it
let a good
happen.
crisis go to waste.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're doing that now with the aliens, the extraterrestrials. It's
What do you think their goal is then by taking advantage of it?
so I don't. So the whole like aliens being future humans is like a new idea or theory to me that I've kind of like started thinking about. And I've gotten it from
Mm-hmm.
other people talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
It's not something I just made up one day. Um,
No,
but
yeah, absolutely.
um, the main idea, and it kind of goes because we've talked about this before. Like if you could time travel, that means you have to control all matter because you have to move everything. And if you control all matter, then you're a god. So what's the point of interfering with anything at that point?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the whole idea, I guess, of them coming to the past is that they're not coming to their past; they're coming to our present.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, so, because
Yeah,
again, the
yeah.
weird time travel stuff. Um, their future is not our future yet, and it's the
Mm-hmm.
idea that there is different types of future humans. There's like the grays, and then there's the whites or whatever. What's the other one
Whites.
it's
There's
referred
also the
to?
reptilians, all this
Yeah, it's the
stuff.
reptilians. So these all exist. They are future human possibilities, and there's the good and there's the bad, and they are interfering and influencing our current present to
Mm-hmm.
try to get to whatever outcome they need us to be at for whatever purpose theirs is. But they
Mm.
can't just directly do it, so they have to influence. And that's where I'm kind of going with the whole the government is never letting a crisis go to waste, is that there's more alien stuff because potentially they are aware or they have an agreement or whatever that something
Mm-hmm.
soon is going to happen from the grays or the whites or the reptilians, and they don't need the humans to be panicked from it. They need the humans to be ready and less
Lubed
shocked
up.
by it, so we can then handle it when it arrives.
Hmm. Do you think they've always been here?
The aliens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think when the Egyptians are talking about fiery cherries from the sky, that's an alien. That's a UFO. I
Mm-hmm.
think when, and this is where it gets kind of weird to biblical. So I haven't told anyone on like a live podcast that people are going to listen to, but I've left the
Mm-hmm.
Mormon faith. Right, I talked
Mm-hmm.
about it after a thing, and
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up.
I've started a soul search on religion, on all that type of stuff, and a part of me, as of recently, has been leaning towards that maybe a lot of like the biblical God stuff is alien stuff, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
interpreted as God stuff because previous
Mm-hmm.
humans can't understand it, so they just attribute it to God.
Exactly.
And so I'm starting to think, my, and I don't know yet. I'm a human. I'm figuring it out. That's the whole point of like learning and doing all this type of stuff. And just me personally, where I'm at is I have no idea if a God exists or not currently, and I don't know what faith is correct or not, if any. But I'm currently running with the idea that aliens are future humans of evolution, and they've been coming back from their timeline into ours for maybe millions of years, influencing our current like timeline in humans, and they could be mistaken for biblical godly beings. So when it
So,
comes to your angel and demons, yes,
mm-hmm.
they very well could be an angel and a demon on the biblical understanding of it, because that's how humans would perceive angels and demons at that time. But I think as we progress, they may not actually be angels and demons, they're just aliens. But we're just contributing them as angels and demons because that makes sense to us currently. So I agree, but I
so,
don't. It's weird.
mhm. So I think a lot of the examples that you're giving, um, we use the term alien, and it may be interpreted in a manner that I know I'm not meaning when I say alien, okay?
Yeah,
Because I don't think every quote unquote alien is
yeah,
an extraterrestrial, meaning that they came from a planet, right?
yeah. I
Or
think there needs to
not
be a
from
different
ours.
term. I'm not
Right.
thinking
Well,
a
it's like,
xenomorph from the movie Aliens.
no,
That's not
no,
what I'm
no, no, no,
thinking.
no. I'm
Yeah,
saying this for like people listening so they understand
yeah.
like my position. It's like how the government recently just changed the meaning of the it's not an acronym, but of UAP. It used to
Mm-hmm.
be unidentified aerial phenomena. Now it's unidentified. Um, oh shit, what is it? Unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So not aerial, but anomalous, because there's things in the water, all this stuff, right? So
Yeah.
they've widened what the term means.
And before that, it used to be
Initialism.
UFO.
It's not an acronym. It's yeah. It's
Yeah.
not an acronym. It's an initialism. Anyway,
Mm. Throwback.
but mhm, your entire thing on talking about like your faith and your religion like made me think about like two different things. So I think first and foremost that there is life on other planets because we can observe other planets, right?
Yep.
Um, so I think that exists. But I think that we get interacted with things that are interdimensional more than we get interacted with things that are
Yeah.
extraterrestrial. So when
And
I
I
say
I would
alien,
argue nothing from another planet has visited us. That's my theory.
okay,
There
and
could be
that's
life on other planets, but nothing
I
from
think
another
that that's a
planet has
fair
been
statement,
here.
right? I think that that's a fair statement. Um, the way in a mode you'd have to travel, right? Like for us
Mm-hmm.
at least, not knowing what other planets may have,
Yeah.
you just can't do it unless you understand like wormholes or you have some
Mm-hmm.
sort of other crazy means of fuel and technology, right? So but for me when I say alien, I don't necessarily just mean ET, I mean interdimensional, right, as
Mm-hmm.
well. So I'll start using those terms so that they don't become completely synonymous with one another when we're talking.
Yeah.
And so first I'll ask you this question, and then I want to make another point. But you're talking about losing your faith, the Mormon faith, in that you know, you're kind of debating on what you believe, which is something everybody grapples with. But my question to you would be then, if tomorrow every world leader came out and said, it's all real, okay, would you be in the camp of people who think that would ruin religion? Or are you in the camp, sort of like, pulling the curtain back on Oz and ruining religion? Or would you be in the camp of it being confirming that those things happened and morphing the religion that already exists here on Earth into something different?
I'd be the. I think the latter would be the one that humanity would probably go with. You're obviously going to get like groups that would be,
Mm-hmm.
no, my religion's still right. Like you guys are all like anti-Christian or anti-Muslim. You're a Satanist. You're gonna go to hell or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That's going to happen because
Mm-hmm.
you have people very strong in their faiths. Regardless,
Mm-hmm.
you could have Jesus walk in front of people and people would be like, nah, like that would happen, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but me personally, I don't know where I would actually be because I'm a person who is very wary of what the government tells us. So I think if they came out, if every government just in unison, like, and I'm talking everyone, like even like enemy, like North
Mm-hmm.
Korea, I like all of them came out and said,
Right.
yeah,
Let's say the ones that matter, like
yeah,
Putin, all of the EU,
yeah,
Xi Jinping,
yep.
right?
They all came out and said, hey, there's interdimensional beings or aliens per se, and
Mm-hmm.
they exist, and whatever, they're all the things. A part of me would be like, okay, why? Why are you telling us now? Like, what's the end goal? And then I would be really worried about any government, to be honest. Because then I'd be like, so you're telling me there's interdimensional beings that can like change things, and that I should now assist you in what is that you need us to do to fight or like conquer this or maybe befriend it? Because if they're
Mm-hmm.
interdimensional, are they just running you? And have they been running you this whole time? Like, are you the ally here, or are you the enemy?
I think that there is
There's,
some sort of interaction. Yeah.
yeah, that's where it gets really weird, and
So,
that's where it's like, is it the grays, the whites? Like, is it the good or the bad? I don't know.
but like my question is, do you think that for the state of religion on planet Earth, that knowing that, let's just say people, and obviously this is just an experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a conversation. If people knew interdimensional beings, life on other planets existed, right? Do you think that it would essentially cause so much existential dread and shaking of faith that religion itself is ruined, quote unquote? Or do you think that it would sort of confirm what people believe and turn into either some sort of new religion, or morph what they really believe and say, you know what, actually Saint Michael was an interdimensional being, or Ezekiel the chariot is actually UFO and I know that now, or whatever, and it becomes something different? Does that make sense?
I think majority would be what you just last said.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are stupid. We're so into habits, and we have to have, like, most people have to have a belief system. Even people who have no belief in a god still have a belief in something.
Mm-hmm.
You believe in science. You
Right.
believe in,
Right.
like, whatever it is. You have a belief. I think
Mm-hmm.
humanity, to cope with there being interdimensional beings as a whole, would more than likely just replace God with interdimensional being, because
I
it
agree
would
with you. I
be
think.
the easiest transition to understand what the hell's going on.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that there would be, some chaos. I think there would be these
Yeah,
cult groups that, go Jonestown,
for
right?
sure. It's the end
But
of
I
times.
do.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's happened without even aliens being here, right?
Yep.
Um, but the other thing, like what you're saying is so true about human beings. We've had this conversation before, but
Mm-hmm.
everything can be looked at as a religion if there's a belief in it,
Correct.
because there's belief, then you have people that are in the out group, then you have people that are radicals, and then it all has its own dogma. It all has its own
Mm-hmm.
bureaucracy, just like religion, right? Like politics
Mm-hmm.
or the science thing, right? Like the recent science thing without saying certain words, right?
Yep.
You can all look and say they have the same qualities as religion: outgroup, dogma, beliefs, and casual believers, radicals,
I
and
believe it's
people
a
who don't
natural
believe at
human
all, right?
thing for us to do is to have a
Mm-hmm.
belief in something collectively as a group,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be religious or
Yeah.
God or anything.
I don't think we can ever separate what it means to be human away from that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets kind of
So the
interesting because if the Greys or
mhm.
aliens are future humans, I'm wondering, have they evolved past belief? Because that gets into like, so autism. Autism is considered
Mhm.
currently in like the scientific community as the next step of evolution of humans. Like more
Yeah.
autistic people are being born regardless of how like you try to like mitigate it not happening or whatever. Like, oh, give birth in this
Mhm.
time frame, that type of stuff. They say the older you are, the more odds of them being autistic, whatever. More autistic humans are coming into birth onto this planet. And it's like estimated, it's going to take a long time. It's going to be like thousands of years, but you're eventually going to get to a point where probably a majority of humans are autistic, like very high on the spectrum.
Well, so
That's like the next
I kind of
evolutionary
take
leap, apparently. I don't know if it's
I
going to
kind of take
happen,
a
but that's
different.
the current idea, you know?
I've seen that idea floated. I kind of tend to be in the other camp on that, right? So I do think that there's a potential that there is evidence that human beings are evolving,
Mm-hmm.
but I tend to think, and this is going to sound fucked up, and I'm sorry for this, but not sorry, that when things start changing, there are mistakes. And that most people who are severely autistic 100% need help to survive and could not exist on their own. That
Sure.
is not a better version of this, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's just a fact. And I don't say that
But
with any sort of malice
is it a
or sarcasm.
version?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Malice or sal. I think what it is, okay, is these are just the new things that are changing, and they're not going to stick around because it doesn't work. Okay?
It's like a tech.
I think that they're right. So like maybe you have people who are autistic who are highly functioning and they have
Mm-hmm.
different ways of thinking, and they do, right? And there's, I have a really good friend. Her kid is autistic. The kid is a whiz with numbers, and that's not uncommon, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there's a movie about that. There's movies about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could that be an evolutionary leap? Sure, it could be. But again, you could not let her son, exist on his own. He would die because he does not possess the necessary survival skills that a kid his age would. And not necessarily like you could survive. No, I don't think any kid, depending on their age, could survive on their own completely forever, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But certain kids who are at that level, they would not fare as well as other kids who did not have those impediments. So I say this, that it's also a sign of potential that we're evolving, but also that there is no risk factor involved in these evolutions that are happening.
Yeah. There's not a
So
predator chasing them. There's not
they're
a,
not being right.
yeah.
So there's,
So they're
I think
evolving
that's kind of getting
incorrectly.
into evolving incorrectly. And I also think it's why there's all these diseases and syndromes and issues, disorders popping up in people, and it's becoming more prevalent because we can
Nature's
sustain life
natural check
now.
and balance.
It is, man. If you were born in 1453 and you had a gluten allergy, no one fucking knew what gluten was.
Done.
Everybody ate fucking bread.
Yeah.
That's it, right? You'd be in pain the rest of your life. And you read about people that lived in the 15th century having issues with their bowels is a very common thing for a very long list of reasons: shit
Mm-hmm.
being in the street, living out in the fucking mud, right? But there's you don't die now from having these issues, so they're becoming more prevalent. Just that's what I am getting at too with this your whole thing about like autism. I have thought before that perhaps that's what that is. This is humanity evolving and we're seeing it. It's just not working, right? Because the whole point of evolution, right? If it's going to stick around, it's superior to the previous form, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other forms that don't matter.
Yeah.
And they, not that they don't matter, but they're not going to make it along the evolutionary spectrum because you can't leave it alone and it'll survive. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say there is let's just say the gray, the little alien that most people think in their heads is an evolutionary future human. Like that's what we're eventually supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you took one of those grays out of their like super advanced technological environment and just put them into like your backyard right now, they'd probably die. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
They'd like realistically, they'd probably die. The dog would come up and kill them, and they'd be done. So I think like yes, there's the idea. You know what I mean? Like yes,
you picked the wrong backyard, buddy.
There's the idea that like an autistic kid today struggles unless they're high functioning on their own right now. But we just talked about the advancement of AI, neurochips. What if autism in the near future, with the help of AI, makes them really easy to cohabitate, and then it becomes the norm?
I mean, that's definitely interesting.
Our technology, our evolution, right, for the longest time was to survive on a planet with no technology. And now in the last like 100-ish years, technology is super boomed and leaped. So maybe our evolution is now deciding technology is now part of our evolution. It's not necessary to be able to be a strong, physical, like there's people who are starting to be born with like very small fingernails because we wear shoes and we don't grab things. People aren't being born with molars because we now cut our food and we don't have to like rip into them. So like, there's a lot of like really weird things happening. And I think I do agree that autism could be a wrongful evolution because this happens in other animals. You'll have like a subsect of birds, and one bird will be like, now we have this beak now, and it doesn't work to open the nut that's in their region, and they die. And then
or they evolve with the wrong color, and they're not attractive anymore, and no birds will mate with them.
Yep, exactly. So autism could be an evolutionary leap that's like not on the right path, and whatever the evolution is in whatever the evolutionary first pancake, whatever the evolutionary path is, could go that didn't work, and then it just goes away. But it could also be the next step, and we just don't know it yet because of technology.
I think it's both, right? And that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that you have to look at it this way. Like I said before, the point of evolution is to make something better. That's why certain things haven't evolved, and so other things
in
are
your
still
current
evolving,
environment,
right?
though, because you can evolve in your current environment, but be worse in a past environment.
Right. But what I'm getting at is that's the entire reason why evolution happens. You evolve based off of your environment, what adaptations you need to be a more optimal creature in that environment, right? So there's going to be issues in these offshoots, right? So biology, whatever you want to say, humans are evolving. There are going to be people that are so stunted by their autism or whatever they have, they could not survive on their own, which is not which is a good thing, because obviously you don't want people to die at all. But if you're looking at it from an evolutionary scale, it's not a good thing, okay? Because you're basically telling, and now we're getting really weird because I feel like there's this whole consciousness thing going on too, with how we all know the right way to evolve.
You're telling
Nature that it's
right.
okay and that it's right, exactly, right?
Yeah,
and who knows, maybe whatever it is will recognize that it's all only surviving because we're allowing it to survive because we've advanced so far that we can keep everything alive, right? But it's not optimal because it can't survive on its own. And that's the reason why it's not those evolutionary leaps are not optimal. Just leave it at that without saying
Mm-hmm.
something that sounds fucked up. And I'm not trying to say things that sound fucked up. But the other thing I think too, to your point as well, is kids that are autistic, especially even like high functioning ones, one of the things they have issues with is emotion and
Yes.
expressing emotion and feeling emotion.
That's why I brought it
And
up.
perhaps right, they're not there yet at that point where there is no emotion, therefore there can't be conflict, but there also can't be the good things like art and love or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's why, because that's going away, and there's just like this, their brain is at this in between, right, where you're
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by all these people who
With
feel
emotion.
and love and are really emotional, and it's not the optimal environment for them. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So maybe, because I agree with you that I do think that that's kind of what's happening. But I
Mm-hmm.
also think there's a lot of other shit going on with it being, autism being present, all these other disorders being present. It all has to do with the fact that the way we live is not natural. It's chaos.
Yep.
I saw this picture. Maybe you could even like try to look it up. I don't know how you'd look it up, but I'll describe it to you. Essentially, it's a branch pulled off of like a conifer, like a pine tree. Okay. And on one side of the photo is just the way the branch is, like the little snippet you took off the branch. And on the other side are all the pine needles stacked up in rows with the stick they came off of like right next to it. It looks very orderly. But the one on the left, which is just the pine tree taken off the way it is, it says order. And the ones where they're all lined up, it says chaos, because that
Mm.
is chaos to a pine tree.
Yeah.
You've dismembered it. That's chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the point of what I'm getting at is that nature has its own order, okay, and that the way we live is chaos because it's not natural. The natural order of things would mean if you've got shit going on in your life that stunts you from being able to survive on your own, then you are not optimal for life. And that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that
Yeah.
we're getting burnt pancakes and squidgy pancakes, and eventually we're going to get to the golden brown pancake again, right?
Yeah.
We're
No,
the
for
version
sure.
of the golden brown pancake that's changing.
It's trial and error of Mother Nature and evolution, all that
That's
type of stuff.
exactly that's is it.
Yeah.
This is trial and error.
But that leads me into, you made me think of something, because like technology, right? Like an autistic person would probably survive best. Like a super autistic person would probably survive best in a IA technology enriched environment where a lot of things were done for them. They just had to monitor things, right? But that gets me into like worrisome, like if everyone on this planet just disappeared today, except you and me, would you have any
Damn
idea how to
it.
make? Would you have any idea of how to like make our phones continue to work?
Nope.
No. Would you have any idea how to like keep our
Build a
nuclear
plane.
reactors, our dams, like all this stuff, the internet, like all these things continue to work? No.
Mm-mm.
There's a ton of humans on this planet, but there's very few, like in
Mm-hmm.
retrospect, who know how all these things actually work. To a lot of us, it's just magic. Really, realistically, it just works.
Yeah.
I plug it in, it just works. And
Exactly.
I'm
Flip the
wondering
switch, the
if,
light comes on.
yeah, I'm concerned if our technological advances are too quick and too advanced,
Mm-hmm.
that it is potentially hurting our evolution, like as humans, as a species, to the point to where like in thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years from now, humanity will be so dependent on it in an evolutionary like way, that if there's one little like failure in it, all of humanity's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something to think about. And
Yeah.
I think
No,
that's a good point to maybe leave that at. I don't know.
well, I was just going to say that what you're talking about is kind of what Graham Hancock says about
Mm-hmm.
the Younger Dryas period and how all of this technology kind of made it after this great cataclysm, but not all
Yeah.
of it did, because there were people who were dispersed that knew a little bit about a lot. and they met with people who didn't know shit about anything.
Yep.
And it's like trying to get the monkeys to build the Empire State Building,
Yeah.
right? But anyway,
Good
yeah.
luck.
No, I mean, dude, that's one of the great mysteries to me is like part of me really does think that we're not the first technologically advanced, group of people, if it was people, right?
Yeah.
What do you want to call people on this planet? So, but anyway,
Yeah.
I
It
think
could
it's
have
your
been wiped
question,
out and completely through, and we'd have no idea.
right?
All right. That was a good one, though. That sparked really good
Mm-hmm.
conversation. That went for a while and down a lot of rabbit holes.
You're
we're
welcome.
we're gonna get to reality real quick, and we're gonna talk a little about politics.
It's subjective. Subjective.
Um, President Xi of the
Mm-hmm.
People's Republic of China was in
The
San
PRC.
Francisco 2 weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
for a U.S.-China relations dinner where he gave roughly a 40-minute speech. President Xi received several standing ovations and
Mm-hmm.
praise from Americans and U.S. government officials during his speech, after his speech, and still to this day. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on a adversary, leader of an enemy of the United States of America, being in the United States of America and being praised for his speeches?
Well, I have quite a few thoughts on that. I'll start first with how I learned that he was coming for the APEC conference
Mhm.
to San Francisco. Was San Francisco actually got its shit cleaned up, literally and figuratively, and that the streets have
Or
never looked
pristine?
cleaner. Mm-hmm. And I've learned recently that a lot of them got moved down to the SAC area. So let's just
Like the homeless and stuff?
pontificate on that. Yeah, let's just pontificate on that for a second. At some point, people realized, oh shit, the streets are clean. Wait, where did all these fucking people go? Right? So there was a concerted effort to bus, drive, pay off these
Yeah.
people to go somewhere else, to fuck off for a week or however long
So
while he was
capitalism
here.
could look great to a communist leader.
Mm-hmm. Which is fucking hilarious because what you just made me think of is like the US visiting the USSR, like late stage USSR, and they do all this shit to
Yeah,
make
it's
it look
dog and
good to
pony
the
show.
US. Right. It's a dog and pony show. And it's like when I'm trying to remember the name of it, but one of the USSR leaders visited the United States and he went to a grocery store and he said in hindsight that going to that grocery store was how he knew that they were doomed because he had never seen a grocery store so full of food and
Mm-hmm.
people with everybody had a full cart that he knew right then and there that they did not have the resources to compete with the United
Yeah.
States. Okay.
And he was like
So this just
off the beaten
makes,
path. Like
Mhm.
he wasn't at the
Oh
tour.
yeah, like, yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that just makes me think of that because in the age we're in with technology, and let's just use TikTok as an example, okay? It's fucking owned by the Chinese. You know how much
Mm-hmm.
shit there is on TikTok about San Francisco and the crap that goes on there? The Chinese fucking know. So it's just hilarious. Like, sure, okay, like on one side of the coin, yeah, you're gonna clean it up because somebody's coming, okay? But on the
Yeah.
other side of the coin, they fucking know that shit was there in the first place. And to me, it just says that you don't give a fuck about Californians or Americans at large
Mm-hmm.
to just
You
clean
care
it up
more
in
about
general and
Xi.
solve the problem. You care more about somebody coming in the dog and pony show. And if you're in the military, you get the frustration because you deal with it
Mm-hmm.
all the fucking time. Everything's fucking broken, but when somebody comes around, we're gonna do it this way, even though this way don't fucking work, just for this
Yeah.
person's enjoyment, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's my first thought on that. Is it's fucking hilarious, and Gavin Newsom is a moron. Um, Secondly, I hate that the person greeting Xi Jinping is Joe Biden. Okay, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay. Um.
Well, let's compare and contrast it real quick, right? So
Mhm.
Joe Biden, president. Xi,
Mm-hmm.
enemy of the United States. Like you can sugarcoat all you
Mm-hmm.
want. Enemy of the United States
Devout,
comes
devout enemy.
comes yeah comes to the U.S. to meet our
Mm-hmm.
president and then talk in front of our people. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when Trump was president, he like like
Mm-hmm.
the North Korean leader didn't come to the U.S. They met at a place that pretty much only Kim Jong Un could meet at, and it
Mm-hmm.
was not like a hey, listen to our speech. It was a behind closed doors, pretty much like Trump saying like "fuck you" fest. Like it was a
Well,
completely
yeah.
different like thing. I just want to compare and contrast that. That's just interesting to me the way that
The
those two things happened.
the yeah, and then they got their picture moment, right? Meeting
Yeah,
at the border,
of
and
course.
and Trump walking into North Korea, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool and all. But it also makes me think of that story about Trump being at the dinner table with them and basically talking about shooting a fucking missile at that Iranian general, I think
Mm.
Khomeini. I don't remember his name,
I don't
and
remember his name
if I
either,
said it
but I know
wrong,
what you're talking about.
yeah.
We've talked about it on this
But
episode before.
basically saying like, yeah, exactly, fuck with me, and that's you next, bro. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I could zoom you from anywhere on the fucking world and fucking give you a real close haircut. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I see where you're going with this, and yeah, that's called operating from a position of strength. And strength is deterrence, like we like to say. So, but yeah, I hated seeing just all these Chinese flags. It'd be one thing if it was like Chinese and American flags. I get it, right? We would do that if it was the fucking Nicaraguans or the Japanese visiting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the one thing that really ticked me off was seeing the Marines holding the flags, the Chinese flags, and like I know that that's not abnormal. Okay, any other flag, it would be either the Swedish flag, there would be a Marine holding it or
The
whatever. You know
issue
what I
is that
mean?
they
Just
are the
because
enemy of the United
the issue is
States.
they're the enemy.
It'd
Exactly. It'd be like
be
us
like us
welcoming
carrying
a
a Taliban
delegation
flag.
from ISIS and
Yeah.
there's a Marine holding it in the little fucking waist belt, and it's got
Yeah.
the fuck. You know what I mean? Like no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, I'm aware. There's a big fucking difference between ISIS and China, right? Anyway, they're still an enemy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. Do I think that our government and the way it is right now has the strength to deal with them the way that we need to? No, I don't. And I think that it's exactly the sort of government that somebody like Xi Jinping and the CCP want. Okay. Um, I don't buy any of the shit that Joe Biden says they talked about and agreed on about economic things between the two countries and working closer together and opening some of that back up. I don't think shit all is going to happen about the fentanyl crisis that China is 100% fueling in this country. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I even saw that they said that the United States and the Chinese were going to re up on doing military exercises and military communication together. That one I could kind of see happening, but it's not going to be from a spot that where everybody's like, oh
It's
look,
nefarious.
no, it's nefarious, exactly.
It's
You know
China
what I
to
mean?
spy
We're
on
both like,
us. Like, hell, that's what
well,
your
yeah, and
guys do.
and
Yeah.
us to
And us to
spy on
spy
them,
on them.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. It's not fucking this handshake. That's not what
Yeah.
it is. You know what I mean?
It's
That's
like,
the only
oh,
one I
that's
could
what
see
guns you
happening.
have. Nice.
Right. And I think it's fucking hilarious that he sits there and when he's talking about the good, quote unquote, good things he did in these conversations, and he's talking about the environmental crisis and Green Deal and all this shit. Meanwhile, China burns more fucking coal than anybody on planet Earth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then this administration talks so much about wanting to be green. And I'm going to give you a very recent example, another example about why that's bullshit. There are about 400 or so miles inland in the United States. There are two port cities, okay? One of them is in Idaho, and the other one is, I want to say it's either Oregon or Washington, but it's Lewiston and Clarkston. And there are two port cities along the Snake River, and there's another river that they lead into the Columbia, okay? And a ton of actual goods that gets shipped around our country go through these two random port cities 400 miles into the US. And in order for that to happen, okay, they have a fuckload of dams. I'm pretty sure it's Oregon. And that that whole system of dams is why electricity is so cheap in the Pacific Northwest, because most of it comes from hydroelectric power, because there's so
Yeah.
many dams and to support that. Okay. Super quietly, the Biden administration came up with a deal to essentially eventually destroy those dams, okay, and build um, different power plants on Native American reservation land, okay, instead of using hydroelectric power, using these different power plants, which are going to basically have the same sort of carbon footprint as 500 fucking vehicles a day or some shit like that, right? And it's like the argument here is, too, let me give more context, is that the dams create issues for the animals that live in that area, that it's killing salmon and steelhead fish, okay, and that the ladders that exist up these dams to help them travel upstream to respawn, they aren't good enough, and that the population is dwindling. So that's a legitimate issue, right? It's this major food source for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But but to me, just, oh, we're going to destroy all these fucking dams that basically power the Pacific Northwest, just to essentially give something back to the local indigenous community there. And oh, by the way, the carbon footprint is going to be astronomical. It's just hypocritical and
But
laughable.
just think of all
You
the
know,
jobs it's going to make, Brandon. So many
think of
people
all the
have to
jobs that
come and
already exist.
yeah, I know. But that's what their argument to be. Well, think of all the
Yeah.
jobs to break down these dams. Going to need hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
thousands of people. Brought to hundreds of thousands of jobs
Yeah.
to the Pacific Northwest. Okay,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, he
temp
sits on
jobs.
these speeches, and he talks about how the Chinese have agreed more to cooperate more with lowering the risk of climate change accelerating and all this stuff, which is total bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only thing that they care about, or the Chinese leadership cares about, is the bottom line. And the bottom line is beating the United States. The bottom line is becoming the world's hegemon at any cost. They don't
Yeah,
care about their people. Oh, by the way, there's another weird medical thing going on there. Okay. And it's here in the United States now, in Ohio and Massachusetts. And oh, by the way, I saw in the news article I read about it being in Ohio that one of the reasons why they think it's becoming so prominent, and again, I'm going to avoid using certain language, okay, is because people's people's immune systems are compromised from certain decisions that were made during a certain period of time, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I
yeah.
just find that really interesting. But I think that Xi Jinping looks at the United States and sees weakness right now, and I think that I will say this. So I'm going to ask you to pull out your search engine skills here.
Okay.
That there was the potential that Xi Jinping actually asked Joe Biden for money because of some of the economic crises that they're failing, or that they're feeling there in China with their housing market, and some of the other shortages that they're having. I've been
Let's see
wondering if there was any
here.
truth to that.
I'm not seeing anything initially. It could have been like something
Mm-hmm.
small, and we probably won't see it for a while or whatever.
Yeah. We'll have to ask David Zhang when he comes back next month, because
Yeah,
he's going to be back on with us.
and I
But
want to
he,
definitely bring this up to him too, like this
Mhm.
talk, like what's it mean overall, like what's his thoughts. But something I want to show here is like, so let's see here. Let me pull it up. I also think this is really interesting. He is called His Excellency
Mhm.
for this speech.
Mhm.
It's the subtleness of all this that is just so strange to me. He's called
Mhm.
His Excellency. You were talking about the Marines carrying the Chinese flag. And we were
Mhm.
talking earlier, about like if the government presents it enough, it eventually just becomes the norm. Who did they maybe have talks about? Yeah, China, you won. Can you please let us live our lives and don't interfere with us too much. But like, you won, but
No,
we'll slowly start
mhm.
stirring more pro China things to get our people on board.
I mean, I don't think that's what happened, but that's certainly a fear. You know what I mean? Um, Appeasement, right?
Yeah,
And kind of letting giving up,
you could
waving
have
the
called
white
him
flag,
president of
essentially.
China because
Right.
that's his official
Well,
title.
that's his preferred title, right? His Excellency.
Yeah, but fuck him. He doesn't get his
Right.
preferred title.
No, I agree, man. And this is kind of, I think I've said this before, either to you or somebody else, but this is
It's like this guy
something that bug.
before, like he gets his title,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, but it's after his name.
mm-hmm, mm.
She gets the honorable because she's a secretary of
Is
commerce. That
it?
makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's just his preferred title. It's probably just a respect thing.
I don't know. It
Ambassador.
just seems odd to me. He's the his excellency. This whole thing just seems odd to me. It seems really weird. I don't
Well, I
like
mean, like
it.
that's
I
how.
don't
Mhm.
understand why it happened. It just seems odd to me. Could have had a phone call with the
Well, like,
guy. Why did you
well,
do the
they were
whole
there for a
spectacle of
legitimate.
it?
I mean, they were there for a legitimate thing, right? APEC. You know what I mean? That's not a weird, random, out of nowhere thing. It just so happened to be that APEC was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Um, but I do like people try to make a big deal about the fact that Biden had all the press kicked out of the room for their like private talk,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think it's weird to kick all of the press out. But I also think that it's understandable to have both of these people who are world leaders have a private conversation. And I don't think that's unusual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because not every conversation the president has with other world leaders, there's a reporter standing there the whole time. Um, but I do think it's weird the way that happened, and then that the whole time they were showing. I saw in the video of the reporters leaving. They didn't know what was going on, and Biden is just sitting there, kind of chuckling about their frustration. It's like, couldn't you have standed up as the president and been like, "Hey, we're going to talk as world leaders, you're coming back," or like saying something, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just being like, all right, everyone get the fuck out, and everybody's like, what the hell is going on, and he's just sitting there like
Biden didn't
what
know
the
where he
fuck is
was.
that,
That's
dude?
why.
Probably not, bro. And it's sad that is a possibility, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, I know that the Chinese were here for a legitimate reason. I don't like some of the things I saw, like that you're talking about. It makes me very
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. There's all these people greeting them with waving these Chinese flags and all this shit. Like, you know how it is. The military's the same way. It's fucking rent
Yeah.
a crowd for everything. You can't go home because we got to go watch somebody get a fucking award for their brownie sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
go fucking and they try to make you feel like a piece of shit, like you're not supporting somebody. But anyway, uh, I am looking forward to the possibility and am hopeful that we have some stronger leadership who will not treat people like Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party as if they are peers, and treat them like the dictators that they are, and get them to realize that you may be doing what you're doing over there. I'm aware of it. I don't agree with it. And if you fuck with me, like General Mattis said, I will kill you all.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to fucking happen.
Yeah.
100%. That's my stance. It won't fucking change. So, but yeah.
I'm in
My,
agreement.
mm-hmm. Yeah, man. We could have a whole ass conversation. We will next month, guys. If you're listening, we're having David Zhang and Sino Talk coming back on, and so we'll get two separate, takes. We'll get David's more economic and political take, and we'll get Sino's, intelligence, military conflict take on things. And that's the point of having them both on in the same month, so you guys get a well-rounded set of information and opinions from people on all these different fronts. So looking
Yep.
forward to those conversations. But the one thing I wanted to ask you is, have you ever heard of the aura goggles or aura glasses?
Yes. We've actually
You
talked about them
have.
before. We
We've talked
briefly
about the
talked.
aura goggles, or we talked.
Yeah, we briefly
Mm-hmm.
didn't we briefly talk about these goggles with 509 paranormal or something like that? I can't remember.
305 paranormal. No, we
305
talked about
paranormal.
the first iteration of NVGs and the red color that it used was in Vietnam. Pilots and soldiers were seeing like entities and monsters and shit.
Yes.
We talked about that.
Is that not what this is?
This is not what that is,
Okay, because they were okay. What's so
but
then?
it's very
Mhm.
similar.
Yeah. Okay. Bring me up to
So the whole
speed.
NVG, yeah. So this came out way before the technology for night vision goggles happened. So they're called Dicyanin glasses or Dicyanin goggles because Dicyanin is, and if I'm saying that right, is the color blue. Okay,
Okay.
it is also made from coal tar. It's very rare. It's actually illegal now, and you're not allowed to use it for certain things. Or most things, you're not allowed to produce it. It's very rare to find. You can still find these aura goggles. There's obviously there's a very small number of them, and some people have some. But you can buy
Hmm.
knockoffs, but they're not made with this color made from coal tar dicynone, right?
Okay.
Um, but essentially, in 1908, Dr. Walter Kilner was studying what makes humans who they are, and had this feeling essentially that, or through the science he was doing, that the vibrations that humans give off, that there would be some sort of aura around us, and this whole concept of an aura is really really old anyway. But he
Like
wanted to
someone's
develop a
essence.
way to see that. Yeah, their aura, what the color, the
Yeah.
the the,
Hmm.
the essence around them, right? To develop a way to see this. And so he used the blue dye from dicyanin, put it on these lenses, and made goggles essentially. Um, and he said, and other people confirm this, right, that you can see people's auras. And they actually became super popular. And you might be aware of like the spiritualist movement at the very beginning of like the 20th century, where these big seances groups, come. And this was very prominent, like the Victorian and Edwardian era too, having these big group seances talking about ghosts, the act of scrying, all this stuff. But spiritualists use these goggles as well as a way to essentially look at people. And then they also kind of said the same thing about the MBGs, that they could see really weird entities that were giving them information, and that because they had these goggles on, they could see them, right? And it
Hmm.
was kind of shortly after they came to prominence, it became very popular, that the goggles became illegal, and developing this color, this chemical essentially also became illegal. And it is kind of a hazardous process because it's using coal tar. And
Yeah.
so like the whole point behind it is that, oh, it's unhealthy for you to
That's
do,
always the
so it's
cop out.
illegal.
For
That's
your
always the
safety,
cop
don't
out.
do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the conspiracy is that the government, who has proven to have been looking into the spiritual, and has said that you can do all kinds of things, like you know communicate to spirits, that you can remote view, all these things, right? There's facts, and there's studies that you can read about that they actually did these things, but they
Hmm.
just didn't want people to have that ability because they didn't know what it would mean. Okay. um but one of the really odd things that I thought or read about when I was reading about this is, when he first developed them, he didn't tell anybody about it, but he went out in public and was walking around looking at people and their aura. Okay. Um, and not everybody had one.
Hmm.
And so, like, the first thing that came to my mind was like NPCs, right?
Okay. Yeah.
What would be the fucking point of not having one? You know what I mean? And I just want to tell for any weirdos out there who don't know what an aura is, I copy and pasted a definition for you. That is an electromagnetic field around people that is constantly vibrating and interacting with our bodies, and the vibrations in the environment around us, essentially displaying aspects of our thoughts, emotions, and spirituality through its vibrations, sometimes denoted in color. So it's basically like your body's mood ring, right? Which I
Okay.
think is a really good way of saying that. But
Yeah.
dude, isn't that weird? Not everybody had an aura. Like what the fuck? That's weird,
It's
dude.
it's funny
Are we
you said like
sociopaths?
it's funny you said like are they like NPCs? And I don't know if I've brought this. I've had this conversation with someone, and I don't know if we've had it on here. But I do think there are NPCs on this like planet, and I think it's actually the majority
Okay.
of humans are NPCs. To
Mm.
be honest, they just
So
exist.
what does that mean to you that like the whole NPC thing?
Like they literally exist to just do like the bare minimum stuff. Like they don't create, they don't they don't alter anything in like the world or their lives. Like a big
Mm-hmm.
idea I've thought of is like, do you have a voice in your head, Brandon?
Yeah, I do actually have a
You have an
voice.
internal monologue. You can
I have an
hear,
internal monologue.
yeah.
I know
I
not
have an
everybody has one.
Yeah, I have an internal monologue. Did you know
Mm-hmm.
having an internal monologue is actually the minority?
I did know that.
Yeah. So what I'm kind of getting at is like having a, I think it's like a conscious, I can never say the word right, but a conscious,
Mm-hmm.
conscious or whatever, an internal
Mm-hmm.
monologue, being able to have like higher rational thought. I think those are non NPCs. I
Mm.
think people
Yeah.
who don't have an internal monologue, don't have common sense, which isn't that common, that type of stuff, they're NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
They're,
It's so weird to me that how can you like not talk to yourself in your mind? Like how do you get through your day? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that just seems so foreign to me. Like
I
what do
need an
you
expert
think about?
opinion, so I talk to myself.
Right.
Like,
You know how many times I've said to myself, well, this fucking blah, blah, blah is bullshit, or I
yeah,
can't believe this, or wow, I wouldn't do that, or whatever.
uh huh.
It's just really weird. It seems so odd to me that somebody doesn't have that. But when I've talked to people who don't, they're like, wait, you do?
What's
I'm like, yeah,
even
you've never
weird?
talked to yourself?
Do you know what's rarer than an internal monologue?
Mm-mm.
Internal imaging.
Mm-hmm.
Can you close your eyes and like see something? Can you like watch a movie in your brain?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, that's even rarer than internal monologue. I can do that as well.
Really?
Yes, the minority of humans can in their brain like right now, my eyes are closed. I can like envision Kuma walking out like to this area and then walking over there. I can
Bro,
replay a memory from Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Like that's not the majority. That is a
Okay, you want to
minority
know
trait.
something weird and goofy about me that like I've never told anybody this, but like why would I?
Yeah.
But like an exercise I do sometimes in my fucking head is I'll look off in the distance at something and like if I see like a bird on a
Mm-hmm.
branch in a tree, for whatever reason, I'll try to like POV the bird and
I've
like
done that.
imagine what he sees. And
Yes.
bro, like in my brain, I just instantaneously see the trees, the leaves, the branches, the buildings behind it as if I was like the bird. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But and like I can do that. I don't know why I do that, but I'm like looking at this bird, I'm like, oh, I wonder what it's like over there. And that's literally what I think. And then I put myself in that mindset. This sounds so fucking dumb when I'm saying it out loud. But I
It's
do
not
this
dumb.
all the
I do
time.
the
I
same
do
thing.
this all the time. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've never told anybody that. Like, why would I? What's the point? I'm not hiding it, but it's just like I have thought like, oh, I want to know what it looks like over there. And then I
Mm-hmm.
imagine it as if I'm over there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's like remote viewing. I don't think it's not remote viewing in the way that like we've
You're
talked about
just
it, but like
you are
it's
smart enough to know what that view would look like, and your brain
mm-hmm,
is good enough to fill what would probably be there based off what you're kind of seeing. Like, I've never been in your house. I have no idea what's in front of you right now.
mm-hmm,
I don't know. I've never seen it. I have no idea. I've seen
mm-hmm,
like snaps before of like your living room, so I kind of know like what your
mm-hmm,
entertainment center looks like, but I don't know the layout of where that is in your house. Right
mm-hmm,
now, I bet I could be pretty accurate with what you see, right?
mm-hmm.
So like behind you is the wall. I'm guessing the wall behind you right now goes to the back of your house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So that was a good guess. I don't know how I would know that, but that's the back of
Mm-hmm.
your house is the wall behind you. So in
Yeah.
front of you goes like the road to your house that goes across your house is in front of you, right?
No.
No? Okay, so
Sorry.
I'm
Mm-mm.
that's fine. I could be wrong here. But like your room is like your little like computer room den area. I'm assuming your desk is in the middle of your room. It's not up against the wall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your door is in front of you to your right.
No, it's pretty smack dab in the middle.
It's middle? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well then
It
I'm not
used
doing
to
very
be though. No, no. I'll say this though. The desk has moved since we started doing this, and it did
mm,
used to be that way.
okay. Okay. But like that's me. I'm kind of doing what you do with the bird. I'm visualizing
Mm-hmm.
what you're seeing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to
Yeah.
like what because I don't know anything around you except like what I see behind you, honestly. So I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
visualize what it is that maybe you're seeing. But like
Mm-hmm.
people can't do that. That's a minority trait.
You want to know something really interesting? I just learned this recently. Are you aware of what like synesthesia is?
Hmm.
So synesthesia is the ability. They used to think it was a disorder, but they've come to understand that babies actually have this ability to where your senses overlap. So you ever heard of somebody who can smell the color green,
Yeah.
or like when they see the color orange, maybe a certain number comes to mind? That happens for people very often, like, or they're the people who have synesthesia, that happens to them all the time, right?
Hmm.
But they've done studies on people who have synesthesia and have found that they have much higher I and EQs than other people, and that their capabilities to understand are really, really high. And when I say that, it's not like they can comprehend extremely well and retain information, because they're retaining it not just in one way, but in many ways.
Hmm.
So, if you're familiar with the term a mnemonic device,
Yes.
okay. For people listening who don't know what a mnemonic device, I'll give you an example of one that I know. Mount Fuji in Japan is 12,345 feet tall.
I've
That's
been
a
up top
rough
of it.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, twice. But that's a rough number. But 12,345 feet tall is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's a mnemonic device. Okay. But anyway, everything is their mnemonic device. Okay. But babies do this a lot. And it's because everything is so new in here and they're hardwiring themselves that they've actually done experiments on babies where they will essentially pair smells or sights with different things that wouldn't have normally anything to do with each other, right? Like you could assume if you look at the color green, an idea for a smell that may pop into your head may be like mint or grass or pine. But because
Yeah.
those things are green, right?
Hmm.
But seeing the color green for people with synesthesia could mean they smell fish, or it could mean they smell, you know, coal smoke or whatever. You know what I mean?
That's why people get
So,
favorite colors.
sure. But one of the most interesting things about this study I learned is that the highest concentration of adults with synesthesia is in Japan.
Hmm.
And tell me that doesn't make a lot of fucking sense.
It does because they're very. Yeah, that does
They're
make
very
sense.
smart. they're
Yeah.
they're very good at things, and the thing is with synesthesia, people who have it are extremely creative and intelligent, and those things are
Yeah.
paired together. And normally when you meet somebody, right, somebody who's like really fucking smart, like pop in your brain, and I mean like really fucking nerdy smart, they're not
Hmm.
very creative, and they normally are very, stunted on the emotional side of things, and they're a
Hmm.
little awkward, and most of the time they're introverts. And Japanese people, I'll say, are pretty introverted
Very
people in
rude because that's
general.
their
You know what I
culture
mean?
as well.
It is their culture too, but
Yeah.
they're extremely creative and smart at the same time. And they
Hmm.
do both together really, really well.
Yeah.
Hayao Miyazaki's movies, those are incredible, right? Nintendo,
Yeah.
Toyota, right? Let's just go, like, they fucking continue,
Killing it.
right? yeah, exactly. But the highest concentration of synesthesia is in Japan. And I thought it
Interesting.
makes a lot of sense. It's pretty wild. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it just kind of like ties back into this whole conversation that we've been having about people and how we learn and develop in evolution. It's, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
We look it up.
it's nothing. I was just typing random things. The what's interesting with that too. So you said like the Japanese people. So I've noticed this a lot with the Natsumi. So she's Japanese, right?
Your wife.
But yeah, my wife. But she doesn't think a lot like I do. So I know she does not have an internal monologue because I've asked her
Mm-hmm.
about it. She doesn't have one.
Hmm.
She doesn't, so she
You're
thinks
married
a
to an
lot out
NPC.
loud. I
Mm-hmm.
am. So she thinks a lot out loud, um, which is crazy because I've asked her before, hey, when you're because she speaks Japanese and English, I'm like, hey, when you're like translating things to English in your mind as a Japanese, and she was like, no. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean no? Like you're not thinking Japanese and having to translate? She's like, no, I just say it in English. And there are
Mm-hmm.
times where she's talking and she doesn't know it. She'll go from English to Japanese back to English, or Japanese to
Mm-hmm.
English back to Japanese.
Like the whole
And she
Spanglish
doesn't.
thing.
Yeah, she doesn't know she does it, but she also doesn't have it. She doesn't have an internal monologue. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm going to ask her. She's on a trip right now. She comes back Sunday, but I'm going to ask her, can you visually see things in your mind? Because I've never asked her that before.
Hmm.
But I know she doesn't have internal monologue. But
Yeah.
what's interesting about it is we visited. So we used to live in Fairchild Air Force Base, which is in Spokane, Washington. We visited one of her friends one time. So I've driven to this place one time, and it's like in a dense area, but kind of off a beaten path or whatever. And I've never been to that area ever before. But we driven to it one time. Okay, this was like 6, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, 5-ish years ago. Okay, and so we have our baby registry, and someone bought us some stuff for like our baby or whatever from our baby registry, but they didn't put their name on it, but it had the address of where it came from.
Mm.
And I looked up the address, and where it was on like a zoomed out map, I immediately knew it was her friend, even though I've only ever been there one time. And so I
Mm.
told her, I was like, hey, your friend, Raina, sent us some stuff. You should thank her. And she's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. So she asked Raina, and Raina told her no, right? Like, no,
Mm.
that wasn't because she's trying to play it off that, because they didn't leave a name. They tried to make it anonymous, but they were bad at it.
Okay.
And Raina's like, no, it wasn't us. So then Natsume comes back. She's like, how do you know it was her? And I was like, because it's the exact place we went to for dinner that one time. And she was like, how do
Mm.
you remember that? Because she doesn't have that thought process or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't
I'm
get
the
that.
same way, dude.
But that's a thing that I've noticed with her several times. We'll be driving. She has no concept of north, south, east, west.
Mm-hmm.
None.
I feel like we're talking about the differences between men and women now.
We could be. We
Yeah.
could be. But I know of women who do have this, It's not just a
Same.
men and women
Demi
thing.
does. Demi has very
Yeah.
good sense of direction.
But like she has no concept of north, east, south, west. If I drive somewhere a slightly different way, Natsumi is lost. Because she
Mm-hmm.
does it based off of landmarks. She
Yeah.
takes a right at McDonald's to
Mm-hmm.
then go down until she gets to Lowe's, and then takes a left at Lowe's, and then goes past this specific sign. You know what I mean? Whereas me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I'm going down Mitchell Avenue for 3.4 miles, and then I go east on
Mm-hmm.
this thing. You know what I mean? And it's just,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that it may be because she doesn't have an internal monologue. So you got to ask Demi, does she have internal monologue? Because you said she thinks
does. We've had
she
this
has,
conversation before.
so she has a concept of east. So I'm wondering, going back to the aura thing and NPCs, maybe people who it doesn't have to be like an intelligence things, even though it could be, but maybe people who are more using their brain for other stuff, like internal monologue, video, like motion in their head, understanding like where they are specifically on the earth and all that type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Maybe that gives off a higher reading. So like the aura
You're in tune to it.
is more out there because you're giving off more of it. And people who are like an NPC who don't have that, he couldn't see it. I'm wondering if that's what it is.
I mean, maybe you're not in tune with everything around you. You're very low vibration, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
NPC.
Yeah. We have to come up with like a different acronym for that, or like different meaning for that. But yeah, man. Well, I think this is a good pace to wrap it up, dude. And I will wrap it up by saying, don't forget about Jesse Carey.
Yes.
If you're still listening after 2.5 hours, don't forget about Jesse Carey. Head over to the Ironclad YouTube channel. Ask on
every video.
I'll even say this, right? If you're still listening, if you go and comment and screenshot and send it to me on Instagram, I'll post it and I'll send you a couple free stickers.
That's pretty legit.
Yeah. If you heard this, if you heard that, go do it, or go do it anyway, like we said earlier. But where the fuck is Jesse Carey? I want to know
where Jesse Carey is, and where's the final episode of Hiding Something.
I still really want to know why the Georgia Guidestones got blown up, and no one seemed to give a fuck about it. I think it had something to do with Mr. Christian and his group.
Could be related to Jesse.
Maybe it was Jesse Carey, dude.
It's weird that the thing with cameras, like, no one could had like a lot of video evidence or anything. It's just
go listen to our Georgia Guidestones episode.
It's all in there.
But all right, guys. As always, if you have enjoyed this or other episodes in our content in general, please give us a like, give us a follow, turn the notifications on, comment, let us know what you think, subscribe. If you normally listen to us or watch us on one platform, please consider just jumping over to another, even if you don't watch us there, and just following or subscribing there too. It really helps us out. And I say this is an open invitation. I've said it before in the on Instagram. If you go and follow us, subscribe, or you leave a review, just send a screenshot. I will send you a few free stickers. So yeah.
It's all you guys listening. Yeah.
It is.
It's all you guys listening that got us to number 44 for 2 days in a row.
For 2 days.
If you keep listening, keep sharing, keep doing that stuff, we can get up there. Maybe knock Joe Rogan off number 1. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We're going to wrap it up here. Zach, have a good night. I'll talk to you later.
You as well.
What's going on, Fire fans? I Came With Fire podcast is sponsored by Red Clover Coffee and Sheep's Clothing, LLC. Red Clover Coffee is a veteran-owned company with small batch roasted coffees, and they just happen to donate to some pretty awesome charities. Whether you're into specialty flavored coffees, single source coffees, or having a really cool coffee mug and some badass slaps, Red Clover has you covered. You can order ground, whole bean, or even coffee pods and get it all at 10% off your entire purchase using coupon code CAMEWITHFIRE. Again, that's 10% off your entire purchase using our coupon code CAMEWITHFIRE. I personally love their Blueberry Invasion and African Roast. That Blueberry Invasion hits the spot. Head over and get yourself some awesome coffee and support us by supporting our sponsor. I Came With Fire podcast is also sponsored by Sheep's Clothing, LLC. Sheep's Clothing, LLC is a unifying banner for all violent arts, disciplines, professions, and survivors of violent circumstances. Redefine violence. Both Zach and I being survivors of violent circumstances and LEOs in the military, we are especially excited to be able to offer you 10% off your entire purchase with coupon code FIRE10 at checkout. Whether you're looking for an awesome t-shirt, hats, slaps, flags, or MMA gear, they've got you covered. Me personally, I love my snapback with the leather patch surrounded by God's flannel. If you know, you know. That's coupon code FIRE10 FIRE10 at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase. Thank you all so much for supporting this podcast, and if you should feel compelled, treat yourself by supporting our sponsors as well. They truly make a difference for us. Now let's make a difference for them. See you on the next show.